I'm Scott. Is that enough? Scott Bollinger?
Thank you, Tom.
Kimberly Williams.
Connie Santilli.
Gus Monmouth.
Thank you. Secretary, please record the council members present with minutes. Before we begin, the supervisor's schedule changed and he won't be able to join us until 8:10 p.m. So I would entertain a motion to read the regular agenda to move the design review update to 7:35 p.m. and the supervisor's update to 8:10 p.m. Is there a motion to reorder the regular agenda?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Great. Secretary, please call the roll.
Scott.
Yes.
Yes. Kimberly.
Yes.
Connie.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, passes. So we reordered the regular agenda to have the design review item at 7:35 and the supervisor's update at 8:10 p.m. Moving on to the Board of Supervisors report and reports from other government officials. I don't see any government officials in the room. I see Chrislyn from the chamber.
Unless Sid is gonna report.
I see Sid has her hand raised. Sid, would you like to offer a report? You're muted.
Or is it public comment?
There's my unmute. Thank you. Yes, I was going to report about the MWSD tonight. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
It's kind of a longer report because we were tasked on Thursday night to vote to approve the 71 connections for Midpen Cypress Point, and we did. Was a 2-3 vote because 2 of us didn't vote yes. I did try to reach out to the planning department and nobody was able to call me back to confirm that that was going to take up most of the LCP connections for the entire Midcoast. And I did get an email back from Mike Schaller the next week, I think on Monday or Tuesday. And I'm still not sure. So Steve Monowitz did send me an email today. He said that in a single year, the LCP only allows 40 units, which we knew. And that I think Cypress Point took 40 of them from last year because they probably got their approval from San Mateo County in 2025. They didn't get their connections from us until this year, but I believe they got their building permits last year. So then that means their forward rollout was, the next 31 building permits were taken up from this year. But they have been giving out other permits because I attend the coastal development meetings and stuff. So I'm not sure. I asked, and they're not going to get back to me. And Steve Monowitz said he'll get back next week about how many remaining permits there are available. But it did sound like there's maybe only 9 for the next 2 years, but they may have already been used up. So it's really hard to tell. And unfortunately, there was a woman who attended our Midcoast Montero Water and Sanitary District meeting that was applying for her initial permit, was ready to apply and wanted to know the process. And Clemens told her that she first had to go to the county to get a permit and then get her water and sewer afterwards. So I'm curious, and I was hoping Ray might be able to shed some light on it, but he might not know either. Who's keeping track at the county of how many more development permits are going to be available? And meanwhile, Big Wave took some. I'm not sure because that's a community type of an arrangement on the wellness center. They're not individual rooms or units. It's a sanatorium, but I don't know how they call it when they give out the permits, Anyway, so it's a little complicated, but I think the Midcoast Community Council would be interested in knowing too, if we're going to be in a stall for the next 2 to 3 years of giving out any more permits on the Midcoast to either GCSD or MWSD or any of the people wanting to build along the Midcoast. So That was my concern, since we did have a member of the public in our audience that night trying to, ask about building. So anyway, we did approve their thing, and they are building right now. They've been excavating and tearing down trees and, um, taking soil out of that property already. So it's underway. Thank you. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, Claire, do you have a question for Sid?
I was gonna respond to you. The MCC has generally made a point to count out how many permits were issued for the year. We've never come close to 40. And all the points you made are well taken and need to be followed up on. Thank you very much for letting us know what you found out.
Well, I haven't really found out 100% yet, but how many were for last year in 2025? Do you know?
I don't know, I would have to, I have not counted yet, but
Oh,
it was
okay.
it was not 40. I'll count. when I
Well,
get
it must
home.
have been, if they gave Midpen their building permit last year, they would have used up 40 and then 31 for this year.
Right, without Mid-Penn, it was not 40, but with
Oh,
what Lisa Ketchum always said was they would spread the 71 or however many years there are at site this point over 2 years. And I'm glad to hear that what the information you're getting is the best, what they plan to do. We just need to get some more solid numbers, I
well,
guess.
that would still only leave 9 or something. But I'm sure there was more than 9 houses built on the coast since then. But anyway,
Any
thanks.
other questions for Sid? Yeah, all right, thank you, Sid.
Thanks.
Marisol has joined us. Marisol, would you like to give a report?
Hi, everybody.
Office?
So I included my report with Supervisor Mueller's points for tonight. Did you guys want to wait for that, or should I just go ahead and give you the answer?
Whatever you'd like to do it is fine. If you want to wait, that's okay.
Okay, I'll just leave it for him to cover it because it's in his points.
Are there any questions that are just from Marisol? Maybe we should ask that. Claire?
There were some things that you were going to follow up
Yeah.
on for us last week, and I don't quite remember what they were, but perhaps you do.
So one of them was about the Seal Cove meeting.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. Everything else, there are updates that we have enumerated from Kimberly that I received in an email that are going to be presented by Supervisor Mueller in his quarterly report.
I think regardless of the question was whether there was going to be any video.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
So I could tell you that, yeah, there would be recording.
Yay.
Okay. Does anybody else have a question for Marisol? I don't think that anyone from Half Moon Bay City Council is with us tonight. Don't see anybody.
Nope.
Chrislyn is here from the chamber. Chrislyn, do you have any reports that you'd like to give?
Oh, thank you so very much. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock is our State of the Coast Side. We'll be having it at Maverick's house, and thank you so much for joining us and doing a presentation during that time. We'll also have Supervisor Ray and Jim from the harbor and Councilman Brownstone from the city. So it should be a really great time to get updated for anybody who wants to come. And we've moved into our new location on Main Street next to MacDutra Plaza. Our foot traffic has already tripled from our previous location 1 block away. So we're really excited about what that's going to mean for the visitor center and getting visitors to spread out across the coast side. And, just working on the projects, but that's about it from us at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have questions for Chrislyn? Connie?
I'm sorry, could you confirm the time again? Did you say 6?
The event begins at 6. The doors open at 5:30, and there will be heavy appetizers there for anybody who needs snacks at that time.
And can you just briefly tell us what gets covered in this?
So the state of the coastline is the 6 different agencies that will be reporting. It's hoped that they will cover a bit of what they've done in the year past, and then what is on their docket for the year ahead. And this is kind of a small glimpse, one shot for the community members that don't go to all of their different council meetings, so that they can get just an up to date on what's going on by having everybody in one room.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and just Scott is gonna be on the panel.
Yeah, I remember he said that he would, just wanted to,
Okay.
for other people on the call with you.
Sid, you have your hand still raised. Did you want to ask for a question?
Yeah, I raised it again because she didn't give the address of her new location.
Oh, thank you, Sid. It is 508 Main Street. So we are right across the street from City Hall and right next to Macdutra Plaza. It was previously a law office, and those stickers are still on the windows, but we're in the process of becoming easily identifiable.
So that's north of the plaza then?
We share a wall with the plaza. We're
Okay.
on the
Yeah.
plaza.
Yeah.
Well, our office is the wall that has the beautiful
Yeah.
marine life mural on it.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid.
Great, thank you. Okay, I don't think anyone else has joined. So we'll move on then to public comments and announcements. Before I open public comments, I'd like to say, or I'd like to remind everybody that the community meeting to discuss findings of the Steel Cove geologic study is next Thursday, February 18th at 6 o'clock. And with that, we'll open public comment. Members of the public may speak up to 3 minutes on any matter not listed on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the MCC. Those wishing to speak on a specific agenda item will be given the opportunity to do so during consideration of that item. So we'll start with Ann Rothman. Ann? I think you're muted, Ann. You're still muted. Okay, we'll move on and come back to
Am
Ann.
I on now?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yay. Sorry, I kept clicking and clicking and I was like, doggone it. Sorry about that. So anyway, if you're going to start my clock, I'll get right to it. I would like to request that the MCC write a letter to the Board of Supervisors and Mr. Callaghy requesting that Cypress Point and Moss Beach be designated as senior housing. At yesterday's Board of Supervisors meeting, Mr. Callaghy reviewed the budget for mid-year 25-26, and what was a standout was that 63% of those living below the poverty line in the county are aged 55 and older. They are also becoming homeless at the fastest rate. When I was on the MCC, I pointed out the fact that senior citizens were the largest group living below the poverty line in Moss Beach. I requested then that Cypress Point be senior housing. Many seniors are falling into homelessness in the county, and this is an emergency. Mr. Callaghy stated that seniors are on fixed incomes and cannot get work to make up for the lack of income to cover essentials the way younger people can. Because of the loss of income to the county and the vehicle licensing fees, essential services will be negatively impacted starting next year. I would guess this means that there will be no money for the Moss Beach State 1 route project. Highway 1 remains unsafe and will not improve anytime soon, as a teenager was recently killed on a motorbike. The county previously designated loneliness as a health crisis, and as you know, seniors are particularly vulnerable to this. Creating senior housing at Cypress Point will address the loneliness epidemic, food insecurity, could be replaced with group meals, transportation can be covered by on-site bus or buses, and most importantly, in the event of an evacuation, senior residents and their caretakers would be in a single location and easier to evacuate. Now seniors live all over town in various locations, and if they have mobility problems, may not be able to get out on their own in an emergency. There were senior citizens killed in the Pacific Palisades when they couldn't get out in time. Cypress Point Housing for Seniors addresses the many needs of our seniors, even with the decrease in resources. With the assistance of nonprofits, residents can live out the rest of their lives in dignity and safety. The coast needs this for our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Dan Haggerty? Dan? You're on mute.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you for making a long comment. So, I'm sorry. Give me a second here. So, as you know, on the MCC, I sent an email out to Caltrans regarding you know, apparently it's required ADA to have this massive amount of concrete for these bus stops, noting that, it's clearly it takes away from the natural side of the highway. And it was my understanding that there was measures in place to do work following the LCP to blend in as best as possible to the natural environment. Didn't hear any response on that. Maybe Caltrans still scratching their head. I wanted to touch on that tragic accident that Ann brought up. Highway 1, 16-year-old. Really sad. I'd like to, we'll run out of time. I'd like to have a moment of silence for at some point in the meeting for the loss of one of our teenagers in local. And adding to that, recently I brought to the Half Moon Bay Parks Committee my message on bike speeds on trails. And it's very commonplace to be seeing teenagers wheeling, speeding, and starting from a stop position at an incredible rate and moving, just bolting out. Commonplace. And it brings a question of the status of the off-highway multimodal trail continued from Coronado and Capistrano, and the true insanity to have bike lanes on the highway. You're just asking for more of these things. I want to add, obviously I was once a teenager and I rode my bicycle aggressively. It was a pedal bike. It was a different time frame, in the 70s, not as many cars. But so, I wanted to say, I know what it's like to want to have fun on a bicycle, to be a teenager and have fun. I understand that. Luckily, I'm standing here today alive to be able to tell this story. But there's clearly a place to have fun, and it's not in our streets shared with cars, especially with busy traffic. One of the things, you know, uh, bike lanes on the highway, nobody talks about, but it's already in many cases very difficult to get out on the highway, make a left turn. You got to get a break to, north and southbound auto traffic, but then to include north and southbound bike traffic at what would be several different rates of speeds, some slow bicycle, some fast bicycle. It just makes it that much more dangerous and I will say insane to have this. So I'm hoping that and then also the complications of all of this multi asset project Caltrans doing. They're doing it. There's no details. The community was supposed to be a part of this. They condensed a package of so many things that nobody on the MCC, when it was brought to us, it was just impossible to understand everything. It was just too much. So I know I've already asked, I think at the last meeting late in the evening, to have some type of representation of Caltrans to, but mostly provide details. give us details and of what they're doing, and why they're doing it.
Okay, please wrap it up, Dan.
Yeah, so that's it. I have a scheduled meeting to talk with Supervisor Mueller um this month, and a little bit more detail, this kind of stuff, but I really think it should be on the MCC. Um and just to ask Caltrans to provide more details. Thank you.
Thank you. Sid Young?
I always keep forgetting where the mute is, so I'm sorry. I'll quickly piggyback on what Ann Rothman said. I was at the meeting, the Board of Supervisors meeting as well. First of all, just really quickly, Ann Stillman, the Department of Public Works Director, provided a list of roads they're going to repave in the unincorporated area. They left out the entire town of Moss Beach. They'll do some roads in Miramar, El Granada, a lot in Montera. They totally skipped us. There's even a road in Princeton on Capistrano, but they're not doing anything for our town. So I'm shocked, but maybe not. They don't do anything for us over here anyway. But what I wanted to say about Mid-Penn, I think we have said all along that because there's no school buses, that's not a good location. The county is broke because the state took away the VLF, $38 million, and they haven't been able to get it back. They're trying to sue them for it. So they're really in a budget crunch, and that could happen again where they take it away next year. So if there's no school buses and there's no highway and there's no bike route all the way down to school, how are those kids going to get to school? They're going to have to be subsidized. So it'd be so much better if it was a senior housing project, because seniors don't commute and they won't be sending kids off to school for the most part either. So if the Midcoast Community Council will consider writing that letter, I think it would be a really excellent idea. And I'm one of the seniors that might have to be selling my house because of finances. So it'd be great to still live in Moss Beach. Not that I would really want to live in Mid-Penn, but it's better than living in my van. So anyway, by the way, I did take the homeless count this year. There did seem to be a few less RVs and stuff down at the harbor than the 2 years ago, the last time I took the point in time count. So that's a positive, but they're not going to come out with the total count for the county until June. So I guess they've been rehousing people pretty well. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised for public comment, so let's go ahead and close public comment. And that brings us to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 28th?
So,
I'll second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Scott?
yes.
Yes. Penny? Shirley?
Yes.
Penny?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Okay,
5-0.
great, thank you. That brings us to the regular agenda. We're a few minutes early, but I think Camille is already with us. Yes, Camille, are you on Zoom?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
I can. Are you ready to go just a few minutes early?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. So welcome Camille Young, senior planner at the Department of Planning and Building. And Camille is here to give us an update on changes to the draft coastside design review standards following the last planning commission hearing, remaining opportunities for public comment, and to let us know the approval process and timeline. So welcome Camille.
Thank you, everyone. It's weird because I'm using a monitor. I'm not looking at my laptop, but the camera's in my laptop, so it's kind of strange. But I wanted to ask you, Kimberly, should I share a presentation, or did you want to load yours, or should I just share mine? I think that would be
I think it's
easier.
easier for you to share yours.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You
I
just raise your
resent a
hand and-
request to
Yes.
turn
Yeah.
on sharing. Okay, let's try
You
sharing
should.
now.
I think you're
Okay,
good to go.
so can you all see my screen here?
Yes, it's good.
Perfectly. Thank
Get
you.
bigger. Okay, so I forget when I was here last. Maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I shared with the MCC and the public that the county is updating its design review ordinance, which you hopefully are all familiar with. And we were in a kind of an early stage at that time. We had an early draft. But now we've gone through all the design review committees on the coast side and the bay side for feedback. We've gone to the MCC once. We've got a recommendation now from the Planning Commission at their hearing of January 28th. So it's headed off to the board on March 24th. So if anyone, wants to participate in the hearing or comment or support, that would be great. So just to remind you all, there's the Midcoast urban area design review district that everyone's familiar with. But there's also little pockets of design review in San Gregorio and Pescadero that this will also
Yep,
apply.
come in.
Yeah.
Nice spots.
Oh,
Oh, I thought you were saying goodbye. You better get going.
Yes.
Greg, did you want to mute?
I'll just leave these two. Oh. Bye. Good luck.
Yeah.
You're a good patient.
Okay. So there's a section you can see in brown there to the east of the Midcoast that's actually rural design review as well. So it would apply to urban and rural areas with the DR in its zoning. So basically, I'll kind of breeze through these. The goal of revising the design review ordinance to make the standards objective and also establish a ministerial process in areas outside the coastal zone. Also, we wanted to streamline the design review standards to make them more like objective, clearer, more kind of fairly applied. And then also we wanted to address CDRC feedback and public concerns that we've received over the years. We wanted to put language in there to require story polls, which the MCC I think was supportive of. Also, we increased the exemption for projects if you wanted to do an addition. Most additions over 150 square feet would have had to gone to design review, but if adopted, you can do an addition up to 500 square feet, which is similar to the size of kind of like an ADU where you wouldn't have to go through design review anyway. So it increases the size of what could be considered exempt from design review. There is still that poster notification if anyone's gone through the process, the formal exemption process recently. Also, it makes the height measurement consistent, which is something Lisa Ketchum wanted. The measurement had a very more liberal measuring method in the C1 areas of the Midcoast. So we brought the measurement methodology to be consistent with the residential areas. Also, we strengthened exterior light standards, which the MCC wanted, and we are imposing design review standards on sort of small projects, like kind of like exterior painting and lighting, which in the past, if someone said, well, they painted their house the wrong color, we wouldn't have any teeth to enforce, but now we would. So that's kind of interesting. And as someone changed their light bulb so that it's like super bright, kind of white, bluish white, we wouldn't have had any teeth to enforce the light standard if the project itself did not require a permit. And it, of course, changing a light bulb doesn't. So, but now we've changed it so that there is some enforceability. All right, so if you look at the table of contents for the current ordinance, these are the changes that are made. We crossed out some things. It's not so much that it's going away. I think it's more of just like a restructured. They don't need their own heading. But the main things is we, like I said, increased the size threshold for exemptions. We added ministerial review. We changed up the discretionary review to add story polls and things like that. And to, well, that's pretty much it. And then the building height measurement, like I said, changed. We added a section called general design recommendations for things that we could not make objective. And I'll go through that later. just recommendations to the applicant and to the designer. And then also we added a design review standards table, which before was not presented in a table format, but I'll show you what that table looks like. So in terms of exemptions for the coast, the threshold went up to 500, but the addition would have to meet setbacks and must be under 16 feet in height. So hopefully that would be okay. So the main changes from the current ordinance
Sorry,
to the
Camille, could
updated.
you repeat that last thing?
Okay, so like if you did an addition that was like 300 square feet right now, you'd have to go through CDRC. That hearing process.
We're,
But
we're
if
having a
it's-
little trouble hearing you.
And your
No.
presentation, is it moving forward? Are you trying to move the presentation forward? Because it seems like you're like on page 5. But
Does it say exemptions?
no, you're still on the first page of the image
Oh,
of the.
really?
So. yeah,
It's
that
kind of
you
out of sync. Is it working now?
No,
No. And we're having a lot of trouble understanding.
Maybe I'll turn off, maybe there's a bandwidth issue. I'll turn off my camera
Says you're on page 1 still, Camille.
of my presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm sharing the wrong screen. Okay, hold on. Let me share it.
no, it's just, it's
not in
moving forward.
presentation mode.
It's not moving forward, that's all.
Oh.
I can share if you want and you can tell me. when you're
Yeah,
moving.
would you mind?
Let me try that.
Or I can try sharing again. Do you see something that says exemptions now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, let me see. Let me see if that works. So I'm kind of moving around. That's working now?
Is that you,
Yes.
Connie? Or
No,
is
it's
that
her.
Okay.
It's her.
Oh, good. It's okay. So it's working. So I think you do you understand the exemption threshold is going up, but in the Midcoast, it has to meet setbacks and have a height limit of 16? Otherwise, it would have to go back, through the regular
I
CDRC
think that was
process.
the part that I asked you to repeat, because I didn't hear it completely.
Okay. Okay. Then I'll move on now. So the current ordinance is for ADUs and other state streamlined housing. Like, I guess another example would be like the Cypress Point project, but ministerial. So under the current ordinance, state streamlined housing would go through a ministerial review with no objective standards applied, because all of our standards were kind of subjective and the state barred us from applying those standards until they were made objective. So now we can apply objective standards to ADUs. There's probably not going to be any other state streamlined housing. And then so for non-state streamlined housing, like single family dwellings and additions, it's still discretionary review. That's going to stay the same. But instead of the mix of sort of objective and subjective standards, the standards are going to all be objective, clear, and hopefully consistently implemented.
Can I ask what does discretionary mean? Does that mean you can review it or not as you see?
Say it again.
I'm not sure what discretionary means in this case. Does
Oh,
it mean you can
discretionary
review it or
means
not
there's
as you
public-
review?
Discretionary means there's public notice and then also appeal at the end. And the neighbors have a lot of say, in other words. While ministerial is like a checklist, like we have to grant the permit if all the standards are being met. So for ADUs, that would be the case. But for the discretionary, the CDRC process is a discretionary process because it involves neighborhood notification and an appeal. So that would remain the same on the coast.
So that means you use your discretion as you do the review. It doesn't mean you can just let it go and not do it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so for story polls, we're requiring story polls, but exempting for pretty much all projects, all new houses. But for buildings and additions that are 800 square feet and less, that meet setbacks and are less than 16 feet in height, or ground floor additions or second or third story additions that do not alter the roof line of the existing structure, those do not have to have story polls. And then also projects that are not visible from public streets or neighboring residences within 50 feet. So you'll be seeing story polls if this gets adopted again. Building height, I think we kind of covered it, but instead of like an average to average, very liberal measurement in the C1, it'll be consistent with what you see in the residential, which is measurement at every point along the structure.
So it's
on the
not,
grade.
not increased. It's
Say it
the
again?
same It has been.
It doesn't look, this looks like it's increased.
Could you explain, is the height an increase?
No, if anything, it's a decrease. Because
It's measured from any point. On the
it's
next one.
supposed to be measured from any point, and now that's consistent in the C1 when it was not the case for the C1. The C1 took an average of the roof, high point, and plate, and then took an average of the high grade and the low grade of the building and averaged that, and it was from average point to average point measurement. So it was very liberal. It was a very liberal. So the height was actually ended up being a lot higher because of it was just for an average to an average. Does that make sense? So it just makes it like every point has to meet now the height limit when before it did not.
Okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is the height limit is the same, it's just more precise calculation for the height limit.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Yes. Well, yeah, and it would actually bring the height limit down if,
So can I ask you a quick question about this?
yeah, yeah.
When you're doing this calculation and you want the house or structure to be as tall as possible and the structure is on a slope, does that mean the roof line has to be sloped also? Because say for instance, you're at the low point of the slope and you measure up, how many feet is it again? It's
16.
28 feet?
Or 28, yeah.
28 feet. So you measure from the low point and you go straight up vertically to 28 feet. Then as you move up the slope, halfway up the slope, that point is going to be higher, right? So the
Yeah.
roof would be sloped if you wanted to do the maximum.
Well, in design review, you'd have to step the structure down anyway. You wouldn't have like one structure at the top and maintain that roof line all the way as the slope decreases, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
You'd have to, in design review, you'd have to like break up the building pad, and like start stepping the structure down anyway, so then the roof would step down.
Okay.
Okay.
Does you force all this like?
Okay, so certain things that
Sort of
that
not.
are that you should know about. Should I let you guys talk? Or do you guys have any questions?
I don't think there were any other questions.
Okay.
I still
okay.
don't understand, but I guess that's okay.
I can't hear you guys.
It used to be, I thought that you measured from the highest point of the slope to the highest point of the building above it.
At every point along the building, yes.
Then I'm back with Scott, so I don't know. I guess I'd have to see an example.
There's actually there's actually a drawing, I think, that you had that shows the difference in the building, how this looks visually, right?
If I can go online, I can show you there's a really good handout, but I'd need some time to find it. Do you want me to stop sharing and find it and then share? But it's the same thing as nothing's changing in the R1 areas. It's exactly how height to be measured in the R1 areas, which is at every point along the grade. Okay.
Maybe just wait till the end and look
Okay.
for it at the end.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
think
So we'll
that's
go back
fine.
to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's-
So
Do you mind if should I continue or?
Let's just keep going and we'll come back. to
Okay.
it.
So certain things could not be made objective, such as like requiring passive heating and cooling. These all standards should be pass fail. There shouldn't be any gray area. So to be objective. So there was a lot of standards regarding like privacy of like living room and bedroom areas and privacy of outdoor areas and also like view protection from offsite properties. you could either say don't block the view completely, or you can set like some type of, like, you can block someone's view by 20%, but then you'd have to go to their window and see like if it's 20%. It's impossible to measure, if you can imagine. So those have been made recommendations, and in the Midcoast you still have public notice, so people can still comment, oh yeah, this is blocking my views, once you see the story polls. And you can still appeal a project if you don't find that they were very considerate of you. So in a sense, the neighbors kind of have a little power there still. I think Dan has his hand up.
Okay, I think let's just go through it and then
Okay,
take.
just keep going.
questions.
Okay. There was also standards that were difficult to enforce, like the ones kind of prohibiting a street facing garage, which almost everybody has. So there's certain, we did a cleanup of like, okay, is this standard really being followed, and is it really important? So you'll see that some of those go away. But we did want to keep them as recommendations. So I want to explain the format of the table. The standards are listed on the left, and with the columns, it shows you which areas or which type of projects the standard applies to. So for the first one, it applies to ADUs, but only in Montera. And then it does not apply to Emerald Lake Hills or Oak Knoll. That's outside of the coastal zones. You guys don't really care. But in the Midcoast, it does apply, but only to Montera. And then it also applies to other design review areas in the coastal zone, like I mentioned, Gregorio and the Pescadero and the areas east of the Midcoast. So this is how we indicate which standard is applicable where and for what. Okay, so getting to lighting, which I think is what you guys really wanted to focus on. The first light standard, all exterior landscape and site lighting shall be designed and located so that light is the minimum necessary to support the activity designated for that area. Where light bulb is shielded, light is downward directed away from neighbors and confined to the site. That's all the same. Then I added soffit lighting shall be limited to covered entry areas and outdoor covered patios. A maximum of one soffit light for every 5 linear feet of these areas, and then floodlights are not allowed. So that is applicable on the Midcoast and for ADUs and areas outside the Midcoast and the coastal zone. The second one was pretty much there too, is pretty much an existing standard for areas visible from and within 50 feet of scenic corridors, limit number of exterior light fixtures. The third one is new. All exterior lighting shall use warm yellow light tones with a color rating of 2200 Kelvin. This was the, this has been changed actually. I should change this, but like, this was the original draft. I should have updated this, but it's now we're proposing something else, and the next slide will cover it. And then we added the fourth, which is lighting around the perimeter of the site is prohibited except where it's controlled by a motion sensor, which extinguishes the light no later than, it says, extinguishes after 10 minutes, as it says here. And this graphic shows you what these numbers look like in terms of warmth. So at 3000, you're still yellow. You're in sort of you're not even the lightest shade of yellow. The lightest shade of yellow is like around 4000, where it starts to get kind of white. But you're in a warm yellow up until 3000. And the warmest, of course, is, like 1900, it's almost like orange. But I think the 22 that the MCC and other people we're recommending is pretty darn warm, the 2200. Do you see that? It's kind of like a yellow orange. So just to show you what that color looks like. And the Planning Commission recommended that staff do a pro and con analysis of 3 levels of light. The 2200, sorry, I should say color rating of light. This is not talking about like wattage. This is color rating. So 2200 Kelvin, 2700 Kelvin, and 3000 Kelvin. 2200 Kelvin is the warmest tone, as you know, and we recommended this we required it for the El Granada School. 2700 is a cooler tone. Oh, and I should say the con for 2200 is that adoption of this option would set the lowest level potentially causing a significant number of properties with non-compliant lighting to be in violation. So, like I said, if someone changed their light bulb and it's like a bluish white, like we'd have to sort of open all these violation cases and get them to change their lighting. And it sets a very low threshold. So if we set a higher threshold of 2,700, it's a little cooler tone of yellow, and it sets a somewhat higher limit with fewer properties being in violation. If we set the highest limit of 3,000, which is still considered dark sky, it would set the fewest properties in a non-conforming state. And I wanted, okay, before I go on, I wanted to say that what staff is currently recommending is that commercial and institutional properties like schools, and commercial and multifamily would still be subject to the 2,200. And this is why. They don't just have fixtures like stuck on the buildings like homes do. These, schools and businesses obviously would have parking lots and would have lights that are higher set, like on poles, or even the bollard like path lighting at 4 feet. You don't see those kinds of lights for residential, and those are the types of lights that are most likely to impact the dark sky because they're higher up and they're floating in space, while the home lights are going to be stuck on the building or like incorporated into the landscaping. So it's going to have less of an impact to the night sky. And that's why I'm supportive of a higher limit so that more properties are in compliance.
Camille, do you know what the color temperature is of the street lights in the old parts of Moss Beach and Montera? They're kind of an amber color, but they do give enough lighting to drive around.
Could we wait till the end of the presentation?
Yeah. Someone was saying the street lighting is 2,200. Okay, so at the planning commission, there was a comment about bird strikes and limiting the number of bird strikes for windows by adding and requiring bird strike proof glass. So this would be a brand new standard. There's no current standard. Standalone single family dwelling units up to 30 feet high would be exempt. So kind of like the regular normal single family house would not have to do bird glass, as well as first floor storefronts and sash windows. However, if it's a planned development, like Valamar, where they're doing more than one house, or multifamily like Cypress Point, or industrial or commercial, those buildings would be subject to this bird glass. And then also buildings where 50% of the glass is being replaced, like older, commercial industrial buildings. And also additions to existing developments. So if you have a house where it's like over 30 feet high for whatever reason, and there's glass and they're doing an addition, then they would have to use bird glass. And it's just like kind of like a glass treatment, like it's an on the surface glass treatment and you can also use screens to meet this standard. That's pretty much it. There's a project webpage for this project, as you might know, shown on the right. These are all the hearings that we brought this to, and a recommendation was made by the planning commission. It's going to the board on March 24th. The link is now on that website, even though it's not on this slide, but happy to take questions, and then I'm going to find that height measurement handout.
Okay, so let's go around and take questions from the council first. Scott?
Would it be easy for you to show us that picture of the height, the new height requirements? You said
I'm looking for it. So if there's another question. If there's another question, I'm looking for it at the moment. So
Okay.
I'll have it in just a second.
I have two that I think are easy and one that might not be. It looks as though, traditionally the CDRC has only looked at residential components of buildings. It looks like it's going to look at everything. Is that correct?
It reviews, CDRC reviews any building that has a residential component. So it
It has a
reviews,
residential component. Is that what you said?
that's right. It could be mixed use. It could be like, point, and it, reviews a single family house. Yeah.
But if it's a strictly commercial building, the CDRC will not be looking at it?
That's correct. There's no residential component, so.
Okay, that's right. One easy question. My second easy question is, these apply to things that are being permitted to be built. If something is already built and it does, and the owner does something to it that violates the standards, is there anything you can do about it?
Yes. Now, yes. Before, no.
Now you can?
Yeah, now we can like painting or changing a light bulb, yes.
Okay, great. So shall I ask my hard question? Which is, one of my concerns is with Seton Coast site. And I know that they've got that long winding dark road going up to their facility, which they feel like they need to light with, so
Yeah.
that people can find them. But we don't want glaring light in the community. So is there some kind of way to work that out?
Yeah, they've applied for a CDP and includes the lighting and includes this courtyard that they paved, includes a bunch of things. So it just because they built it doesn't mean it's been approved. It's unpermitted, some of their lighting. So we were hoping that they would turn it off while they're going through the permitting phase, but they have not.
Well, when they open, is there a way to have lighting that they feel is adequate, that doesn't disturb the community?
We'll be asking for like 2200 Kelvin,
Okay,
downward directed shielded lighting.
okay, then I'm done. Thank you. I appreciate all your work. You've done a lot of work.
Thank you.
Just
I have
add-
the height handout, but we can go to it
Sorry.
at the end.
Just to add quickly to Claire's question about Seton, those lights also are elevated, and so even with shielding and downward direction, some of that light still escapes because it's above the residential part of the community. So there might be some additional need there for that lighting, and I don't know what the options are. But that should be a consideration.
Okay, that project will go to, the public noticing and go to a public hearing. So but I think where they're still trying to get the application materials like to be complete and to route it out to the review agencies. So it's still kind of in still getting refined.
Okay, Connie?
I don't have any other questions. I just want to say thank you for the work. It seems like you've made a lot of the changes to recommendations that people in the community have asked, so greatly appreciate your work.
Yes?
Yeah, I also just wanted to say thank you, particularly for the work involved in maybe turning subjective things into objective things, and I think that's sort of transparent evidence. So I appreciate that work.
Thank you.
So I actually have a couple things, which I think you know about. The first one is when you said that certain standards aren't objective, like privacy and view protection, you said these are appealable. I guess I'm a little concerned about that because I think those are really important. You know, if you're in a home and somebody's building something that's going to obstruct your view and you're not going to, and the standard is objective, how likely is it that the planning and building department is going to know how to, is going to side with the homeowner on that?
Well,
If it's objective standard.
it's not an objective standard, it's a recommendation now, because there was no way for it to be objective.
Right, well,
There's no way to measure the view obstruction. So there is no taking a side on it. It's simply not a requirement anymore. But what I was saying is that the public, through the noticing and through the hearing process where you can state your concerns, and through the really more to the applicant and the architect more than to the decision maker, and your appeal power can convince an applicant to be more considerate of you.
But what power do they, I guess what I'm asking is what power do they have to, if you appeal this, you're still at the mercy of the planning and building department to make that decision, and how are you gonna measure sort of the objectivity in rendering these decisions? Because I could totally see that there could be appeals could come forward and they could all get denied. So how are you going to protect the person who's in the residence that the building is going to impose upon?
What we've found the only thing that we could do is just make it a recommendation.
So there is really no protection for the homeowner.
There's no requirement. No, it's simply neighbor courtesy and the power of appeal.
Okay. Okay.
It's similar to ADUs if you think about it, Kimberly. There's no, if you think about ADUs, someone could stick an ADU because there's no view protection for ADUs either. But there is some privacy. And so there is some privacy in the design standards similar to the ADUs about windowsill height if you're kind of close to the property line. But for an ADU, if there's no protection of views for ADUs, and you could put an ADU, up to 4 feet to a property line, then it's the same for houses. There really isn't an objective way to allow for some view intrusion because someone's got to build something somewhere. And there's no like clear line of like, okay, how much is too much in terms of view blockage, or do you know what I mean? Or which rooms, like, so you might be okay to block a kitchen, but not a living room. Do you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff is very hard to make objective.
I could just see that there might be circumstances where that could be pretty significant. So, how do you balance?
Well, same for ADUs, but you wouldn't have a voice there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
So it's got, we kind of took that route. But I'd be interested in hearing, any comment if you feel there's an objective way to measure it. And yeah. So.
Okay. The other thing I'd like to go back to is the lighting. And that the proposal was not 3,000 until it was changed right before the planning commission meeting. It was, I think, at 22. And so now you want to stick with the 3,000 K. I'm very concerned about that because the correlated color temperature is not brightness, right? It's not an indication of brightness. And so you can have a warmer light that's just as bright as a bluer light. But it's less intrusive. And I don't really understand. I know that you're saying solely it's an enforcement question for the building department, but I'm not sure that our policies should just be as a convenience to the building department. I attended a very thoughtful coastal commission item where the what was it? Sorry, just looking quickly. The coastal commission heard another county lighting ordinance for, I wrote this down.
I think you emailed it to me. Let's see.
I can't remember now. So they took up this issue with another county, and it was Humboldt County. So they heard Humboldt County's lighting ordinance that was submitted just this past week, and they approved the correlated color temperature rating of 2,700 kelvins for residential outdoor lighting. And I thought they made a really nice case. And I guess what is troubling to me is that I'm wondering why San Mateo County is reluctant to modernize its standard in line with other unincorporated areas and municipalities, because they all seem to be moving in this direction. And I think, as one of the planning commissioners pointed out, these lights are readily available. They're easy to switch, and a phase-in period would make it, easier for residential consumers to make that switch in a time period that's equitable. So if you're saying that it's just an enforcement question, that you just don't have people to enforce, I don't think that's a good reason. And I guess I'd like to push on that, because why not have it at 2,700 or 22 and have like a 3-year phase-in period or something? And that way we're moving in a certain direction. But if you just keep it at a 3,000, which does have substantial blue light in it, and it does trespass differently than something below that 3,000, it has an impact, and the science shows that. So I'd like us to be out front on this and leading like some of the other places. And I don't think that
There
by
isn't that much of a difference.
3,000, you're not leaving like when the neighborhood to have a tool to address this if it's imposing, you know. If somebody's lighting is making a significant impact on somebody else next door, there's no way that they can address that because you set this higher level.
I think the higher level is not substantially higher. They're all considered dark sky. So when
It
you
is
set a
substantial
limit,
difference. 2,700 to 3,000 actually is a substantial difference.
okay. Well, I mean, I'm definitely amenable to that. I just think that commercial and says where we first started in requiring 2,200 was on an institutional property with light poles and ADA path lighting where you had to have like a lot of lighting, and it's just like we're only talking about minimal number of fixtures on a house versus in a school, and they're not going to be on poles, they're going to be on houses, and I think that that's
Some houses can emit more light than a commercial facility. It just depends.
not with no floodlighting and with limited soffit lighting and with if it's in a scenic corridor you got to go to the minimum necessary light fixtures, and you're looking at all
You got to lose by lowering it. That's what I don't understand. The planning commission was amenable to having the lower standard. Everybody I've heard talk about this is amenable to the lower standard. It's only planning and building that isn't. So that's what I'm trying to understand.
It's not about
Why-
it's not also about enforcement, it's also about people having to something that's already dark sky, something that they already bought that's 3,000 Kelvin, that's already dark sky, they have to throw that away and buy another one.
Phase-in period take care of that?
I just don't think that that's reasonable, I guess, for all homeowners to have to throw away their higher end dark sky fixtures to buy something that's just a little bit lower. Because we've been implementing dark sky through the CDRC forever. And it's like they may not have purchased that lower light.
That have
level.
enacted this to see how hard it's been for them, Reese.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Have you talked to other counties to see what their experience has been like to making this change?
No, I think the Midcoast is, I want to talk to our Midcoasters. Oh, and I'm very amenable to changing it, but I also feel like there's homeowners here that are not, as vocal that would have to all change their light fixtures.
Well, if there was a phase, I guess I'll just leave it at this one point. If there was a phase-in period, people wouldn't have to just chuck out the lighting. They would have, a nice period of time by which the next time they needed to change their fixture, they could change it to the lower lighting standard.
Yeah, but they may not want to, and I just don't think it's that much of a gain. Like to go from 2,200 to 3,000 or to go from 27 to 3,000. It's just like, it's not that much of a gain, but you can keep making this comment. You could write it in a letter. The Board of Supervisors might be with you on that, but I think that it has to be acceptable to a broad swath of the coastal population.
I appreciate those answers.
Okay.
What I'd like to do now is open public comment. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. I see Sid Young's hand is raised. Sid? You're on mute, Sid. Sid, you're still on mute. Well, maybe we should go on to Dan Haggerty and come back to Sid. Dan? Something wrong here?
They're both muted. Can we unmute them? Is that a possibility?
Can ask to unmute.
Can you do it yourself?
It says ask to unmute, it doesn't. Should unmute them.
Dan
No, they
Haggerty,
might have taken a
you
break.
unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes. Please
Yeah,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Sorry about that. Okay, thank you, Camille, for coming tonight. I want to say that I disagree with you that 3,000 K is considered dark sky. There's some caveats here. Um, my question, oh, by the way, I guess at least a couple questions, but within this first one, I think there's a, Camille, are you aware that the dark sky board recommends 2,200 K? Now that's the dark sky board. I think they wrote a letter. I think it was in 2021. Now there's an agreement between dark sky and the industry, IES, to have it approved as a dark sky light fixture, um, no greater than 3,000 K. That's true. But the dark sky board recommends 2,200 K. And I will, you say, oh, 3,000 K is fine. I will read it says on the 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting, the 5th principle being warm colored, use warm color lights where possible, limit the amount of shorter wavelength blue link to the least amount needed. So that's how it's agreed between the industry and dark sky. But the dark sky alone, they had to make a kind of a compromise, making the agreement with the industry. But the dark sky board recommends 2,200K, period. So quick question. Are you aware of that letter from the board? It was written in 2021. Are you aware of that?
Where is this dark sky board based out of?
That's International Dark Sky. I think Arizona. I'm not.
So no, I'm not familiar with them, but
Yeah. So I
I'm
can say
familiar with the
I'll
dark
email.
sky.
I'll email that to you so that you have that.
Okay.
Let me continue with the question. That so as Kimberly mentioned, Humboldt County recently adopted 2,700K, but I think that 2,200K is the right target. I believe it's spread across many. This is a special community. The dark sky people that live here want to have the dark. They want to see the stars. They don't want to have blinding lights. Sometimes there's safety issues. And I know you did a lot of other stuff to limit off, and shielding and all that stuff. So that's great. But there's many communities that have 2,200K. And I 3,000K is not warm in my opinion, or warm enough, I should say. Um, um, and let's see. Also, I wanted to say that what you have here is definitely not a substitute for a full standalone lighting ordinance that this community should have in the near future. So I appreciate your work you're doing, but I'm hoping that nobody thinks that this will be sufficient as a complete lighting ordinance, because it's a lot more complicated issue than what you're capturing with this work language you have.
Dan, back it up, please.
All right. So I wanted to say that, Camille, I'll email you the letter so that you have it, so that you know that the Dark Sky Board recommends 2,200K. Now, as far as the ADU setbacks, are you making changes in the setbacks? I heard you say 4 foot to the, I guess you mean the rear property line, or is that the side property line
It's
also?
rear and side, and there's no change to that.
So that's existing today, and there's no change to that.
Right.
Yeah, my opinion, that's my house is set back 5 feet on the side. I don't know why. it's being reduced. It's impeding into, the privacy of neighbors in the backyard. So
And it's
I
going on
guess,
5 minutes. Can we move it along?
yes, that's it.
All right, thank you. Sid?
Oh, geez.
You're good, Sid.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Oh, good. My screen went dead. I don't see you guys, but at least you can hear now. I just wanted you to answer my question that I had before, Camille. Do you know what the temperature is of the old-fashioned street lights that are amber?
I believe that they're 2200. I've heard that they're
Okay.
2200, the streetlights.
I personally find those so much easier on the eyes, and they're easier to drive by at night. And they're a warmer temperature, I think, than those bright digital ones that they've recently installed on the street lights. And I mean, I don't know how bright those new digital kind of white looking lights are that they put in later, but that would be my choice, is a warmer amber color for whatever you guys are talking about. I guess it's all residential lighting, but I think they're a lot nicer when you're driving around in the fog too. But maybe for birds and people on houses, they don't want amber. But it seems like if they're lower wattage or color temperature, maybe that should be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Are there any other persons wishing to make a comment or ask a question? I don't see any other hands raised. So I'm gonna close public comment, and bring this back to the council. Does the council have any other comments, and, what should we do as the next step? Would you like to write a letter?
This is the image sheet of damage if you wanted to look at it.
Oh,
Oh, good.
I have to go stand up closer to it.
Will, do you want to explain this to Scott?
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. Okay, good. So you can see on the top where it was like an average to an average. So it's like average roof plate and average grade. And then it created two lines based on an average on the top and an average on the bottom. And that's where height was measured. This was how it was being measured in the C1. Because it was C1, S3, I believe. So that's why it's S1 through S11. But and it allowed for actually a much higher structure than say S17, which you are all familiar with down here, the lowest one, where it's measured at every point along grade, and it's like turns into this wiggly line because it changes with the grade instead of something like this where it's just a flat line based on two averages.
Thanks. That's what I thought you were saying. Thanks.
Does that help?
Okay.
Yes.
You also.
Okay.
I still have a question about it. I'll try to study it and figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So well, I'd like at this point to do, I mean, Camille, could you just run through the process timeline for how these standards will, what's the process left for how these will be adopted and other opportunities for public comment?
Yeah. So the next time for public comment is on March 24th at the board. Definitely voice for, the lower color rating. I have to say, I'm okay. Me personally, I don't live on the Midcoast, but I do care. And I just want to make sure that we're not setting too low of a limit for people where people have to unnecessarily throw away all their light fixtures. I want to set it at like kind of a reasonable thing so that, okay, half the population needs to change their light fixtures, but the other half, they're pretty good. So anyway, I was just trying to kind of shooting for a middle place. But either way, it's whatever you guys want. So definitely make your voices heard at the board. So after that, if the board adopts it, then it goes to the Coastal Commission for certification. So give that a couple months. And then once it gets certified, it's usually 30 days before an ordinance is in effect. So then 30 days after that. So we're still looking at a few months here before it's effective on the coast. On the bay side outside the coast, it would be effective after the board takes action.
Board, she said.
So if the council submitted formal comments, we would submit them then as targeting the Board of Supervisors meeting?
Yeah.
Or we submit them to
Yeah.
you before that?
Either way, I'll include it in the packet. But definitely speak at the hearings so that they know, just, I would show up at the hearing if you can, like remotely. But I want you guys to think about like residential versus commercial industrial, like whether there should be like a difference there or whether it should all be the same. Because they're very different. Like parking lot lighting is quite different than, the light in front of your door.
I think we're very aware of it living here, and there are
Okay.
some sites where the light is exceptionally bright and it's a problem.
Okay.
But
Okay.
what I hear from the public, by and large, is that they support the dark sky lighting and they support the lower kelvins. So
Okay.
it's interesting to me that your office seems to be latched on to this, and I have to wonder why when you've got public support behind you for a
I haven't
lower
heard.
rate.
I guess I just haven't heard from enough, and I did hear from one member of the public who's actually a CDRC member that was shooting for the 3,000.
Yeah, and also the Coastal Commission and the Planning Commission who are finding this acceptable too. So it seems to me that it's only the department that's not.
Kimberly, could I
Well, no,
ask a
I
quick-
just said the CDRC member and who's a member of the public was shooting for the 3,000.
And
I recommend-
does that person have a formal affiliation with the building industry or the lighting industry?
No, they're a CDRC member. They're a representative for one of the communities.
Okay. Okay, but that's just one person. I mean, that's the only person I've heard. But that's very helpful.
I guess when you set a lower limit where everyone, is like in trouble and you set it really, really low, it gets a lot of people in trouble.
I don't think
So if you can,
2,700
if you
is
can
really
tolerate,
low, though.
You guys
you
are
can
debating
tolerate-
it again.
Sorry.
if you
Yeah.
can tolerate an even
And then
slightly higher limit, you get a lot less people in trouble. So it's like, I don't want to set the lowest possible, like you know what I mean, as the limit for people getting in trouble.
Right, okay, so we need to move on.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much for coming and.
Thank you, everyone.
To us,
Okay.
we really appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
I would like to thank Camille for making sure we still have a CDRC. It sounds like it could have gone either way. I'm glad we still have it. Thank you.
Yeah, we still have it. Yep, no problem.
Thank you. Coming back to the council, do we want to write a letter? To voice our comments before the board of supervisors meeting?
Probably.
Okay. And if so, who would like to work on drafting the letter? Anybody?
Well, I just want to know before we draft a letter or before I supported the letter, I don't really know all the community response where it's come from. So if you could gather that would be helpful.
Okay,
So can I ask one question about this letter?
yes.
Are you going to say this is for new construction or existing properties?
I think it has to follow what the standards are proposing, right?
I think
It's
she said
existing
for both.
and new.
For
It's existing
and okay, just want to make sure of that.
Unless it was previously approved by the county.
Okay.
So if it's already gone through the approval process, then it's, what do you call it, legal grandfathered, But if it's changed from its approval or if it's brand new, it would still be subject to whatever limit we all set.
Well,
I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry.
So I really think I would like to see could you show us your first slide on lighting again?
It's in the,
Okay.
it's in there.
Okay,
It's in the
because
attachments.
Your what you're asking for is in the presentation.
Yes.
She explained why.
Yes.
And it says it at the bottom. You know what I'm talking about?
It does,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's in there,
Okay.
in her presentation.
Okay. Never mind then.
If we wanted to get more community input, I thought it worked fairly well to ask on Nextdoor to have people write about the transportation issues. I'm not really think Nextdoor is the best place to get public opinion, but it did seem to help.
Well, if it affects existing lighting, then I think it would be good to get the,
And when she came to our last meeting, we did hear a lot of public comments. There was also a lot of public comment at the planning commission meeting when she could for the last meeting.
Pose the question, if the institution of a 2200 standard means you personally are gonna have to change your lights, do you support moving to that standard? I was just thinking about that. What if you've got motion sensor lights? Is that covered?
you have to look at the.
I don't know.
Look at the specs for every light, everybody has to look at. their
It's every
specs.
light,
Yeah.
even
Every
motion
light-
censored.
Yeah.
And then motion censored is limited to 10 minutes now. Yeah.
That wouldn't even know.
Okay,
If we write a letter, it's better to have the phase in time.
My experience of this sort of thing is, in the abstract, sure, of course, we want dark skies, but then we say, and that means you personally are gonna have to change your lights, all of a sudden, it's like, well, I don't wanna do
All
that.
6 or 8.
That I think is what Camille is trying to manage too. I
Okay.
know you do, I'm really sure.
the supervisor is here and he's been waiting patiently for a very long time. So I'd like to move on. So I
Yeah.
think, I'm happy to help draft a letter if somebody else has to help me with that.
I'll help you with it.
Okay, all right, Kimberly and Gus. Thank you again, Camille.
Thank you.
Supervisor.
Thank
Miller,
you.
Thank you for patiently waiting and we appreciate that you're here tonight.
I apologize, I was running a little late. Had some things I had to do, so it goes well, so.
I'm totally understand.
That's-
Welcome.
Thanks, it's good to be with you all. So there's a lot to update you on. First off, because it's rather pointy here on the coast side, yesterday, Supervisor Spear and I had a town hall on e-bikes, e-motorcycles. We had planned it in advance for what happened the day before. So it was rather just tragic. Well, rather it is tragic. There's a model ordinance that we're working on right now, trying to get input from all the different jurisdictions in the county, because we want to have everybody have the same one. It's really important that whatever we do, we all do together, so there is a mixed messaging on it. And basically, what we're really looking at is for, we're trying to protect sidewalks. We're trying to make sure that assisted bicycles are in bike lanes that are that are in designated bike lanes. And then we're also trying to put together, also within the limits of the vehicle code. We're limited somewhat by the vehicle code, but we are also trying to take into account and appropriately address people modifying the regulators on the bikes after they purchase them, or frankly, at the time that they purchase them. So specifically for underage riders. So if you're a 16-year-old and you have an e-bike, and it's a class 2, you're supposed to get a driver's license, or you're not supposed to ride motorcycles as a 16-year-old without taking the class and having the proper license. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of parents don't know that those kids are not insured riding those bikes when they've been modified. And I also want to be careful. I don't know what happened here on the coast, so I'm not saying anything with respect to what happened here on the coast. I'm just talking about generally, there is a lot of misinformation and assumption that's taking place with respect to these cycles and these e-cycles. And so we are really, we have to educate people. We have to put in place an ordinance that everyone can get behind, and then we all have to come together and talk to Sacramento. There were great examples yesterday in the town forum where they talked about at point of sale, someone calling and saying, I want to buy this for my kid. And the person selling it says, well, this is 20 miles per hour, but I can give you the code that'll bring it up to 45. Which is crazy. So we have to just, so we're working on that. Yesterday at the Board of Supervisors, we shared an outlook, and I think I've shared with you all before, but our vehicle license fee, we have not been successful getting the state to reinstate our vehicle license fee for June of this year, in this budget year. So what we're looking at in the current, we're gonna look at, you know, another $70 million taken out of our budget from the state. And so there's various things that are taking place, but basically what we think is going to happen is until the $70 million actually hits, taken out of the budget, and they see what the ramifications are in our county, political fallout of that, we think that's what it's going to take for the governor and the Department of Finance to actually act on it. Because they want to see that it can't just absorb it, which we can't. So that is, as you can imagine, so right now what's happened is subcommittee is starting to look at how we go ahead and reallocate Measure K dollars. Much of it will be eaten up by that, but that means a lot of our nonprofit stakeholders and those who rely on Measure K won't have those dollars. And then to potentially be, well, not potentially, there'll be belt tightening in the county as well. So we're figuring all of that out. At the same time, we're ramping up last ditch political lobbying to see if we can get this fixed. On the same time, yesterday, we do still have one-time funds available that we're using. So yesterday, I was able to get a program through that I think is really important. I've heard from a lot of our small businesses on the coast side and frankly throughout my district. They're really struggling right now. They're struggling to hire people. They're struggling to just to make it. At the same time, what we know from economic data is that recent college graduates, community college graduates, are not finding jobs at the rate they used to. Unemployment is rising in that sector, and it's a combination of the current economy plus AI, frankly. So yesterday I was able to get the board, I put together a new program after discussing it with with experts. I brought up a program to the board that said that what the county will do, so we put 2 million toward this program, and it's for a pilot for 200 people. Frankly, is less, and I don't know what it sounds like, but it's actually less than what we pay to other nonprofits to help place people in jobs. But what it does is it says if you are an employer and you hire someone who's a recent graduate in the last 3 years, and you are a medium or small business, county will pay half the first 3 months' salary up to a $65,000 salary. You can pay more, but we're only going to pay up to $65,000. And but the agreement is you have to employ them a year or the money gets clawed back. And you can do that for up to 3 employees. So every additional employee you add on, the benefit gets greater then, because if you hire 2 people full-time at full salary, that third one, you're gonna get 9 months at half back. So it's really worth doing if you're really looking at adding people, add that third. So that passed unanimously, and frankly, we're already getting calls from people who want to take advantage of the program. We haven't even got the RFP out yet for the provider, for the facilitator. What's really interesting is we're getting calls from recent graduates asking for the help. And the data shows now that those graduates aren't just not finding jobs. When they're finding jobs, they're severely underemployed. They're taking jobs that are beneath the skills that they were employed with. So it doesn't just apply to college graduates and community college graduates, also applies to grade school. So that is, I'm excited about that to come out. Related specifically to the coast side, you mentioned Seton. There was no, shouldn't be news to you all that I brought before the board of supervisors a resolution to, actually not a resolution, a letter to the Attorney General saying that if you enter into a settlement agreement with Seton, that settlement must contain that you're going to tackle the time, that the amount that the length of time it was closed to the amount of time that they're gonna require to stay open because or they don't, the requirement to be open for the original agreement they had with the Attorney General is decreasing every day. And so, and we still don't have a reopen date. So the good news is we heard from the Attorney General and they absolutely committed those in that office that they were going to do that. So we believe we will get that time added on to it. What I was not successful yet in doing was I was trying to get the county to accept private insurance at the county clinic here. And I have not been successful in getting that to take place. And it has to do with the fact that the way that the county billing cycle is set up, it's just not set up to take private insurance, and they don't believe that they could successfully do that for a clinic that size. So it's difficult. You guys know me well. I don't accept that. I'm still pushing to try to figure out how to get that accomplished. With respect to energy resilience, so the windstorms that came through over the winter holidays came with good news and bad news. So the good news was, so I think I've told you guys in the past that I met with, a couple of years ago, I met with the CEO of PG&E, and there was a commitment made that they were going to work here on the coast. They acknowledged in that meeting how bad the grid was here. So what we managed to accomplish in the last couple of years is that now when the storms come, they stage many more people out here. Same time, they are doing a lot of work on the infrastructure. And what they shared with me was that there have been over 700 projects, 700 hardening projects, the infrastructure on the coast. They call it each little tag of when they go up and they harden something. What that resulted in those windstorms is that everything south of El Granada held, and anything they had done in El Granada held. So none of those repairs ruptured during those windstorms, which is pretty significant because was actually a very high wind windstorm. In this area north, things didn't hold because they haven't done as many repairs. And they're also said there's more problematic trees. So what they've asked me to do is they're putting together a list of identification of a number of trees they're going to go ask the Coastal Commission for help with, because they need to get Coastal Commission permission to trim those trees down so that they're not interacting with the wires. And I said, identify the trees and I'll look at them. And then based on that assessment, I'll go with you, but we also need to get the hardening projects done. So they've committed to continue to do that. But at the same time, there's significant investment taking place all the way south down in Pescadero, where we look like we're going to get the largest microgrid in the state of California down there for energy resilience for the south coast, which is exciting. So we're making progress, but we still have ways to go. And we're trying to work right now with them to get us a permanent staging position on the coast. And then even for folks, I know folks were frustrated when the power went out for, I think it was in some areas 4 days here. It was still less than in years past for similar storms. So we are making progress. They really brought a lot of people out here. And they kept updating me through that. They also put me on their energy roundtable, local official entity roundtable for the state. So that I can continue to advocate there in front of their executives for the hardening that we need on the coast. With respect to telecommunications. So first I'll back up. So you all remember we did the Coastal Resilient Infrastructure Strategic Plan with Chris that we embarked with when I first came to office with Department of Emergency Management. We were able to rank and identify capital improvement projects up and down the coast. The good news is that this year, when Senator Liccardo went about going to decide where he was going to get funding for which projects he was going to fund, he took the CRISP and also had a meeting in our office where he talked to the community about that. some of those CRISP projects were funded by by Congressman Ricardo. And those have been announced already. So we're making progress there. That CRISP now also identified telecommunication programs like Nicholas Calderon, which is another one of my announcements. Nicholas Calderon is meeting with Senator Ricardo's office actually tomorrow to go over further CRISP projects related to telecommunications and also organize doing bringing out telecommunication officials to the coast to hold them accountable to what's problematic here. We are still pushing to try to get the money necessary to bring the wire down through the tunnel, even though we already got all the plans approved and connect it up in Moss Beach. So that is the other thing that we're doing right now is that we are increasingly looking at using drones. So drones are with the number of drownings that we have on the coast and the number of first responders we have who are actually trained to be in the water can make it really difficult the amount of time from the time we get a call that someone's in the water to the time we can help them. So we are looking at using large drones that can actually go out and drop life vests to people. And then we're also looking at it for the investigation. There's been a number of fireworks problems, booms, things like that. You just can't get folks out too fast enough. So in San Carlos right now, we're running a pilot. I'm getting ready to run a pilot on using drones to respond to burglaries. And then we're also investigating bringing those to the coast for all of the issues I just talked about. The difficulty in that is that drones require cell coverage. And so one of the things that we're doing right now is we're looking at, there's a technological provider that actually can, what it does is instead of laying wire to run the cell off, they run it on beam from point to point, and then they run the cell off the beam. And so we're in discussions with them right now to pilot that. The cost is actually cheaper, but the problem is if something blocks the beam, then something interferes with the beam, then it can be problematic. And so, but we are looking at that and talking with them about and talking about pilots to show that it would really work. So we're looking at new innovative ways to do that, and I call that my drone superhighway. So because we have a problem down, this is particularly of concern for me down near Toninas Creek Beach, which we plan to open, and the cell coverage there is really terrible. And so to think that we're going to be introducing people into the water, especially because it's called Do Not Eat Us Beach by surfers, there's so many sharks down there. I really, it is a high priority to figure out how to get telecommunications to that point. What else do we have? We have a lot. So Caltrans. Caltrans in terms of the intersection with the county transportation. So, and I'm sorry, I'm tired, so I forgot the name of the project, but there's a project where there's 2 roundabouts that are part of it.
Moss Beach corridor.
Yeah. So that project is getting ready to be rolled out to the public for them to take a look at the alternatives and for you all to take a look at the alternatives. I've seen it, and I actually think the roundabouts look pretty cool. But there's an issue that's come up in that discussion where the roundabouts, it's the weirdest thing. Caltrans, and I guess this has come up in the past, I don't know if you guys ever been informed of this, but when Caltrans does these improvements on Highway 1, they want to turn around and have the county have to pay for maintenance for them. So like they make a safety improvement, but it's like, well, we made a safety improvement for our highway, but now you got an ongoing bill. And that's, I guess that also derailed Gray Whale Cove. And so I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, honestly. So we are getting, so we're teaming up when that comes to bring back the Gray Whale Cove crossing and have a discussion with Caltrans about the fact that this is your highway we have an obligation not only to maintain it in its current state, but make the safety improvements necessary for people who travel it, and then pay for those maintenance requirements as well. It's not like every time you make it safer so people don't get hurt, that all of a sudden you get to pass that responsibility on to someone else. And so we will have that discussion, and I'm gonna need your help and bring our legislators in and bring Caltrans here and we'll have it. So, cause just I just cannot believe right now that people are taking their lives in jeopardy to cross at the Gray Whale Cove to try to get down to a beautiful beach. Because the people who own that highway think that they shouldn't have to pay for the maintenance of a crossing. What else do we have? The RV issue. The RV issue. So going back to December, what I discovered was that I'm gonna be really careful, but basically, in how I describe this, but basically, there was a contract with the sheriff's office to do towing that was allowed to lapse. And so there was no, so even if even if the deputies ticketed, there was no mechanism with which to tow anyone, so there was no real enforcement. What's happened now is that contract is back in place and they can ticket. But the RVs, we're being told when they do, are now moving into El Granada and other areas. We don't have a parking ordinance in El Granada. And so what's gonna need to happen in order to stop overnight parking in El Granada and other places on the coast is we're gonna need to introduce an ordinance that restricts overnight parking. And so that is gonna be coming to you, and we have county council already working on that to address this issue. It can get complicated, but I understand people want it, and so we're working on it. But it was very frustrating when I heard and saw the state of what people were doing with waste in some of the RVs down near the airport. That was just not acceptable, and we just didn't have a mechanism. Offshore oil drilling. So this is real. I needed to, like, it's very, very real. The first permits are scheduled to be, so they're in 2027. And our coastline is included in a 2027. I went and spoke at, I'm sorry, I always come. Supervisor Spear and I have been involved. We've sent letters, we've hired a consultant, we've joined forces with other counties. Recently, I went up and I spoke and to make sure that we were included in the public record that Surfrider was putting together with others on this issue so that they could introduce it into the record. But all that said, I'm really concerned about this issue because at the end of the day, the agency, once it takes all that information into the record, the agency can still issue the permits. So all that will be left will be court challenges, and I'm not sure this is the Supreme Court that's going to turn it back. So we really need people on the coast side to become engaged on this issue and start sending letters. And frankly, try to get people in other states where they care more in contested districts to send letters. So it's really a problem, but we are doing everything. What I can tell you is we are doing everything we can at the county within our power to make sure that our objections are registered to fight it. And if they do issue the permits, you can bet that our county will join in the other counties in the state in the lawsuit. We're recruiting a new county parks director right now. I don't have a lot more to share on that because those interviews are ongoing. But I will be in them personally, I've been told, so I'm happy to know. Stormwater flooding project upgrade, 3rd Street, Montero. RCD is evaluating the drainage on 2nd East and 3rd. And Public Works and RCD met recently discussed the findings, to try to go and figure out how to scope work. So that's still in process. The Caltrans Martini bypass, as it relates to wildfire management. So I was asked to have the county do a resolution asking Caltrans to do more wildfire. So we initially asked Caltrans to do more wildfire management, and they did. But we've heard from folks who live in the area is that they don't think it's enough. I asked them to give me an expert opinion, so I had something to rely upon when I sent the letter. We got information from Coastside Fire District that I think actually is enough now that I can rely on that as an expert opinion. So we'll be preparing a letter to go to Caltrans to rely on that. I'm going to have the board vote on. At the same time, Montero Water District and Sewer District has asked, they say they want the bypass turned over to them. Interestingly enough, in the last email they sent about that, then they copied the Coastal Commission. The Coastal Commission said, hey, wait a second, we want in on this discussion because it's in your local coastal plan. So I've asked for us to be able to meet with I just told Montero Water and Sanitary District I have to meet with, before I go further, I have to have our planning staff meet with the Coastal Commission and figure out what this looks like in terms of resources required to, if we decide we want to go down that path, amend the local coastal plan. So that's where that stands right now. We're still just gathering data on it. The Seal Code meeting is next week, and we will have the folks who put together the study on the soil there, what's happening. At a high level, what I can say is what's, I believe, and I hope I'm not being inaccurate, but what's been told to me is basically the land's moving at 3 feet a year. And it's going to be, and so the rest of the information will be shared at the meeting. But basically where we're going to get to, I think, is that folks are going to have to make a decision. It sounds like, so I don't believe there's any intervention that's going to stop it from moving 3 feet a year. Question is, how much are people going to want to try to, how much do people want to pay for other types of interventions that allow for greater monitoring? And so that it'll all be explained at the meeting, and I don't want to butcher it because I'm not the expert to explain it. What else do I have for you? There's a lot going on this coast side.
Was there something about Corey Park?
There is something about Corey Park, and I'll let me look at it too. There's fire mitigation in Corey Park. So county parks are continuing to monitor fire mitigation, and what they're doing is they work around. So there was a plan to do mitigation that started around Corey Park, and they're doing it piece by piece. And so as budget allows, they go ahead and complete further. So I know up at the closer to the higher in El Renado, there's an area that's been waiting, that's next up in the list. All of the areas around Corey Park have to be mitigated before we're going to go ahead and start moving into the park or out further. We're really trying to create defensible space between the park and the neighborhoods. And that's consistent with the plan that was adopted before I came into office. So they're still attempting to grab budget for that wherever they can to do it, and they're doing it one piece at a time. I know folks are interested in it moving faster, but they're really picking high priority areas first. The last time I think I was with you, I shared with you all that we also had I put together a plan for the medians, where we went to El Renal Community Services District, and we said to them, what the county would do is the county would go ahead and around each median approach the homeowners around the median and ask for them, they would allow if they would basically not eminent domain, but quick claim deeds to whatever ownership right they had in the median, And if everybody agreed in that area, then the county would take that and then through an agreement with Elder Community Services District, transfer them the medians. And that there would be a one-time maintenance worked up between county and El Granada Community Services District in that transfer. So based on what El Granada Community Services District identified as the maintenance they wanted done, that they could figure out through community meetings. But basically, the policy around the management would transfer back to El Granada Community Services and the residents in this area, as opposed to the board of supervisors, which is pretty removed from it if we took it. I think my understanding is that there's discussions. So El Granada Community Services District said that they were interested in that plan and they authorized their staff to work with county staff. I don't think there's been a meetings of the mind yet, because I think El Granada Community Services District is interested in, I think their El Granada Community Services District is still presenting their own version of that plan. But Hope Springs internally keep trying to get it done. So I'm still trying to figure out a path that's acceptable to everyone. I would really right now, those, let's face it, they're orphan meetings. So everyone plays hot potato with them. It's just not a way to do public policy. I think the last time I was here, you all talked to me about the Harbor District plan for the parking, and I think we had that community meeting that I brought Senator Becker in, and after that, the Harbor District identified a different lot. I don't know what else has happened. Nothing else has happened in farms as far as it relates to the county since then. And I think what else you might have questions about.
Should we just ask the?
Yeah, just ask the questions. I'm sorry. I tried to be as comprehensive as possible. If I forgot something.
That was pretty comprehensive.
If I forgot something that wasn't purposeful, just do the best.
Yeah, that was wild. Wow.
Would we like to go to the council first or go to the public first? Let's go to the public first. Hands raised. I see Sid Young.
Thank you, Ray. I know you're tired. I'll try to be fast. You mentioned the harbor parking lot issue. They wrote down questions at that meeting and they never gave us answers. Do you know how to get those?
They were supposed to be from California and Harbor District. I don't know. I mean,
I hate those kind of meetings where they write them down and don't answer them when you're on the spot. Okay,
yeah,
I didn't think.
I'll send a letter. I'm happy to have my staff follow up and ask them if they would answer them. But I think it may be just that because the other lot was identified, they considered it moot. I don't know.
There were so many people asking questions. I'd love to have heard the answers on the spot. But anyway, when you mentioned the Caltrans project in Moss Beach, on the Moss Beach corridor that won't be finished, at least so far, till 2030, they told us way back when, there's still pretty consistently accidents at Cypress and Highway 1. And before your time on the board, Don Horsley gave permission to Big Wave to not fund their portion of the intersection control there. They had a development agreement, but he let them out of it. And so they, we still don't have any, funding for that. There was a head-on collision recently at Coral Reef Avenue 2 weeks ago. And then, of course, there was the fatality just recently at Terrace Avenue. And we do have a lot more traffic on Highway 1. It seems like we need more enforcement. And of course, the sheriff's department is really understaffed. There's usually only 2 deputies per area on duty at any time, 2 on the Midcoast, 2 in Half Moon Bay, and 2 on the South Coast for any of their things. So I know the enforcement's, difficult. especially, now if they're gonna start trying to enforce the motorcycle episode, who's licensed and who's not. How about APLRs? Are they gonna keep them on the mid-coast? Are they being efficient in stopping crime or not? Do you know any details on that?
I'm, so right now there's a big debate over flock cameras and APLRs because of what happened in Mountain View.
Right.
I personally think, Mountain View police chief and city manager should fall on their sword, admit we didn't have just say, look, we didn't have the settings right on this thing. We had it set to share, so it's shared. There's a lot of good data about how these cameras actually do help fight crime.
Right.
Ultimately, if there's a lot of, we hear from enough community members, they don't want them, we're gonna honor what the community wants, but I mean, if you're asking me where I'm inclined that when you implement technology, you use it correctly. So, and I think I think there's a lot of good data that shows that they work when they work. So,
Well, I think if we could get the data, it'd be interesting. If they're spread too thin, it's going to help if they, to catch criminals that come out to the coast. But
yeah.
anyway, so I volunteered.
The other thing, Sid, the other thing I'd share was you mentioned the cost of the program and implementation in 2030. And what I'll tell you is when they presented with me and they showed me the plans for the roundabouts and the mitigations, they did tell me this is going to cost money. And I did tell them when you guys approved when Cypress Point was brought to us, and it had already been approved, but when the last funding round that was there, that we had to give them more money, and I was on the board, and I said to the board at that time, you guys have bought the traffic improvements here and they're going to be substantial, and the board agreed at that time, so there's no backing out of improvement, and staff
That's
acknowledged
for
that.
Midpen has to be
Yeah,
there.
that's for Midpen. Well, Big Wave is done, like I can't. Big Wave is done, so.
I know.
Okay, Sid, can we move on?
Well, I did have a few more things from Ray. I was just going to say that I did volunteer for the point in time homeless count. And it did seem to me that the county was doing a pretty good job because there were fewer RVs except along the new part of the part about Capistrano between Highway 1 and the restaurant. There
Well,
seemed to be more there.
that is great to hear. I'll
But
pass it on. So I do
yeah,
need one thing to say.
they have
Sid. One thing I didn't say that I'm gonna have to ask folks on the coast side to think about. If you've watched a recent board meeting of the Board of Supervisors, we have become the target of a group of individuals, and I don't know where all of them live, but they interrupt. Like everything, you've heard it. I'm sure you've heard it, Sid.
I'm sick of it.
Oh, well, they just went after a group of Asian American kids this week. Like it was just.
Oh no.
So what I would really, the kids, we were there to honor the kids for Lunar New Year, and one of these people started talking about how people speak a different language need to assimilate. We're like, what are you, like, it was bad. It was and so we're getting to the point where I may need to have a conversation with the coast side as if they will forgive for a number of meetings of us not using calling capabilities, so we can try to shake free of these folks. Because it's been a while, but we'll talk about it. If it's too much of a burden, I've already told the county, there's no way that I'm gonna do that to folks on the coast, because it's how they call in the meetings. Unless folks on the coast say that they're gonna agree to it because of what's happening in terms of the ability to actually run the meetings productively. So
I really sympathize with you because even if you're trying to call in, they often get their hands raised first and you almost lose track of what you want to say. But they go through the same razzmatazz every time, kind of lecturing the board. It's ridiculous.
Sid,
And
I'd like to
Okay, go ahead. Never mind. I'll let you go on. I'll see you
Thank
on
you.
Thursday, Ray.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Kevin?
Hi, Ray. Thank you for taking my question, Kimberly. Ray, it's nice to see you at the MCC meeting, and I'm looking forward to your additional quarterly reports. First, I wanted to just remind you, COSIDE Allies did reach out to Nicholas Calderon after our communications about Quarry Park and El Granada, that area, that strip that you're talking about. And Nicholas did reiterate the fact that it's simply a timeline issue. And I asked him if he would be able to pull something together there that outlines those timelines for COSIDE residences. And I expect that to come into COSIDE Allies either tomorrow or by Monday at the latest. So I'll make sure that you're CC'd on that. In addition, I'm curious, you probably know about the 16-year-old that was killed on a non-legal motorized bicycle along Highway 1. Sid made mention of it, but I think that the issue is that there are a lack of policies around how these are used on the different terrains that they're used, the speeds, et cetera. And I know that the county supervisors, because I've listened in, have had town halls about this issue, but now that there's actually a death of a 16-year-old, I'm wondering if you are evaluating or going to start to evaluate actual law and policy that is put into place that is enforceable. It's not just along the highways, they're on our residential streets, they're on the beaches, on the trails. And this is unfortunately the end result that a lot of us saw coming with these types of vehicles. It's not that we generally see a group of young kids having fun and being respectful or kind. And as a matter of fact, it's the polar opposite. Sometimes they're with adults. They're flipping people off. They're doing wheelies and, dangerously coming close to cars. And it's been very difficult to navigate driving coastside when you can actually drive on the coastside. But, in the inner community streets, it's been an issue. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, so earlier this evening, I talked about when we had, so this town, Supervisor Spear and I just had a town hall yesterday that actually we had set to have yesterday in advance of what happened the day before. And we were working, so about a month and a half ago, actually, no, it was probably longer than that. Probably 2 months ago, she and I had attended I guess, well, I don't know what it would call it. It was a day where we actually learned, one of the things we learned about that day was all of the data and background around the emotive issue, because anytime you want to bring a policy, you got to go out and find the experts. So we went to that together. We listened to the experts. And we've been putting together, and I shouldn't, Congressman Supervisor Spears really hard on this issue, putting together a draft, a model ordinance for the county. In the last couple of weeks, we reached out to every city, every police department, every school board, every superintendent, and we invited them to yesterday's town hall. Tragically, we lost that life this week on the eve of the town hall. But at the town hall, we shared the model ordinance that does actually identify areas that you can't use e-motorcycles or e-bikes, and areas that you could use an e-bike. There are already a number of laws in place, frankly, that prohibit the use and the changing of an e-bike to an e-motorcycle, or allowing someone to ride an e-motorcycle who is not licensed within the state of California and have not gone through a motorcycle license class. But the difficulty in these issues that are surrounding this issue really comes down to enforcement. And one of the things we talked about at the town hall this week was the fact that the officers really don't like to chase them because they can just take off and go a million different directions. And these are kids and you don't want them to get hurt. But what we've talked about, actually what I raised with the officers and we're starting to explore is whether or not we can just like do drunk driver checkpoints like near schools when kids are going to school in the morning to pull them over and check the bikes. So the kid has a choice to make. Does he go to the checkpoint or does he turn around and miss school? And then also we really have to educate parents that these bikes are not covered by their insurance. If anything happens to them or another kid riding on the back of one, they are personally liable, and that they're breaking the law. And so, because a lot of people think that these are somehow covered by their insurance or their umbrella insurance, or there's some safety net for them, and there is none.
Right. I just had
So
one quick question, if Kimberly would allow. So Coastside Allies is still a part of telecom, and it seems that there's been a stalling, if you will, in regards to progress in this. And I wonder if I know Connie is likely going to follow up with a question regarding this as well, but if you can speak to that as well and let us know what the standstill is or what the holdup is in progress around that.
I talked about it earlier, so it's just frankly just right now we have funding for one piece of it, but we are actually working on it through the CRISP program, and that Senator Licardo, Congressman Licardo is actually on the coast tomorrow with county staff, Nicholas Calderon, who, and for those who I didn't tell you, Nicholas Calderon is the new county deputy executive. He's been assigned to the coast side, and they're going to be meeting with cellular companies here on the coast. So if I had to say, did it stall? It did stall somewhat because we ended up in the middle of a fight with AT&T, who just wanted to withdraw landlines completely from the coast side. We've battled with them for the last 2 years over that, and we're probably going to battle with them the third year over that. So, and they are one of our main stakeholders. What that led to them doing is AT&T through the CPUC ended up giving a bunch of grant money for projects, but those projects didn't really bring cellular connection to the areas that needed them most. They just did reinforcement in areas that already had it, frankly, pretty well, but they just put in new cable. And we pointed that out to them. I've gone through the maps with AT&T in my office and showed them that bringing it back down through Half Moon Bay and up the coast wasn't an area that I had a problem. The area I have a problem is in Moss Beach and in the South Coast. And there are areas, and so we actually had to issue a subpoena that we ended up not serving on them through an agreement between council, so that they would show us what their future plans were in terms of where they plan to make improvements. But it's still, so this area is an area where they plan to make improvements, but they're not doing it fast enough. And so, that's why we have the meetings taking place this week.
Thanks, Ray. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cribbins. Dan Haggerty?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, thank you, Ray, for coming tonight. Appreciate, all of your reporting. My comments, number one, please, no roundabouts. It's well known that they are not good for our such high volume traffic highway, and we're all dependent on highway flow as best as possible. Having said that, it is very true that it is good for slower speed and lower volume environments. That's been proven, but it has not been proven on our high speed, high volume highway. In fact, it's been clearly indicated that it's not a good idea. Second, the bike lanes, next to a 50-mile-an-hour highway, is just on the highway, is just too close. I'm still waiting for an explanation as to why the Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition's concern for safety on this issue as bike lanes on the highway was ignored by both the county and Caltrans. And it's important not to focus on e-bikes alone, but it's the speed. This is less directly on the highway, but more around the town and the trails and everything. Please don't focus on e-bikes and don't say that they're bad alone. Although, yes, everything you said earlier, as far as the management of this power, is important. But it's also the speed from some of these fast pedal bikes also. And understand that I understand enforcement problems, but you mentioned a little bit of education, but I'd like to see a broader education claim request that focuses on this issues in schools and beyond. As far as your reporting on the PG&E, there's been repeated lighting problems when they set up their camp. They put up these giant, intensely industrial, incredibly bright lights that have been focused on the highway and coming out of El Granada, etc. I personally spoke with the foreman out there, and a great guy. He was responsive. He had no idea. They just brought him in and they just did what they normally do, setting up camp. So I'm hoping that you can please bring this to your future PG&E meetings as to make sure that because it happens every year. In the future, that I don't have to go down there and talk to them. Just if it's already in place, that they know to be careful and not point these. Just pop them up and point these into the road, which blinds people and will potentially blind somebody and not be able to see somebody on a bike or a pedestrian or whatever, and then kill them. As far as the Graywell Cove issue, I want you to know, I'll tell everybody right now that I still have 1,000 petition signers that have the hard copies for an underpass at that location. So I'll share that with you on the 27th, as this is clearly a Caltrans related item. And I'll say that before you were elected, you told me that you were open to pedestrian underpasses at appropriate locations. This would be the most appropriate location, and I would say that Frenchman's Creek would be the second most appropriate location. And I'll tell you more at our upcoming meeting. Last two, just, yeah, sure. I was hoping you would elaborate on the vehicle license fee. I'm not really sure about that. And then you also mentioned, was there a model ordinance? Did that include the bike speed limit? Because that's really the issue is bike speed. Again, e-bikes can go very fast, but road bikes, pedal bikes, very healthy person, very strong person can really move a pedal bike down the coastal trail and just no jingle, no notice to tell a relaxed family group that's just walking on the trail. So it's really the speed, and it's not necessarily the e-bike itself. It's just, it is true that it's a lot easier to get up to speed on the e-bike. So I just wanted to kind of put it up front that we shouldn't focus necessarily on the e-bikes, but yes, they can go faster and they can speed up faster. So that all of it is about really speed. The last thing is that to the degree someone's passionate about what they're doing is to the degree that they don't have a concern with impacting others. If they love what they're doing, it's easy for them to flip somebody off and say, you know what, I'm doing my thing, I'm into my thing, the hell with you. So that's the real problem that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
You have any
Thank you, Dan, I appreciate it.
Okay. And,
Can you hear me okay?
yeah,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. And you've already heard my comments yesterday at the Board of Supervisors meeting. I did want to touch on the fact that Mr. Callaghy made it very clear that a majority of those living below the poverty line are 55 and older. 63% of county residents 55 and older are living below the poverty line. And there was a discussion about homelessness, particularly in this population. With Cypress Point now being built, this is the time to designate the housing for 55 and older. You would still have farm workers who would be eligible. You would still have seniors who would be eligible. But one of the things it would eliminate would be the issue with Highway 1. If the funding isn't there, which it may not be for the county, because Mr. Callaghy made it very clear, if you don't get the vehicle license fees given back to the county, we are going to have a severe deficit next year and projects things will be cut. And he specifically mentioned homelessness, affordable housing, and many other things. So, as far as funding for the road, the county never did give a specific amount that they would put forward for the improvements needed for the development. So, with that concern and the fact that there are so many benefits for senior citizens being in one location, they could services can come to them, evacuation can come to them. There are things that can be planned for, not to mention the loneliness epidemic. It really helps to have seniors living in a community together, and Cypress Point really is that place. And the reason I'm asking for the designation of 55 and older also is because there was a change made to include homeless people. So that happened after the approval. So I don't see why now this the housing can't go to those 55 and older. So if you could please address those issues, I would appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I'm happy to ask Ann whether or not maybe do that. I'm not aware of any change being made to allow that's for chronically homeless people. So it's not a homeless site. So, but I will definitely follow up with MidPen to see if they can allocate any number of those 55 and older. I don't know, I mean, I am always transparent and honest with you all. I don't know if the funding agreements that they have in place with the state will allow it or not. But I will ask.
Yeah, just the reason I was so concerned is because with 63% of the county population now
I
55 and older experiencing this, it's an emergency, in my opinion.
I understand and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, and I do want to support you with the offshore drilling. That
Thank
must be stopped. I will, whatever needs to be done, you can count on me. I'll send letters, and I'm one of the few conservatives around, so I'm happy to say whatever I need to do. Uh, please count on me for that. And I also would like to say I want to speak out against windmills. I do not want windmills on the ocean either. There are so many detrimental problems with that as well. So that's my last 2 cents. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Ann.
Okay, I don't see any other public comments, so I'm closing public comments. Are there council questions for the supervisor?
I have one comment.
Scott?
Thanks for all everybody's stuff that you mentioned, and we've wrapped it up in a motorized vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle, an e-bike, car, a dune buggy, UFO, if it's on a road, if it's on a street, it has to have a license plate, it has to be registered, and the driver has to have a license. So all that stuff is illegal, and we just need enforcement, as you already mentioned. So education's great. We need to make, you have an enforcement, use capitalism, make the fines enough to support the effort, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
I did.
Wonderful.
Thanks for coming, Ray. Appreciate all the work you're doing as well. A couple things for me, because I've communicated to both you and Nicholas. And the telecom stuff, I think I sent both of you, but I will resend if needed. That one of the ways that I think could help with more resiliency in telecommunications is if they updated their fire hazard map. And they have not done that since, I think, 21, and they're only in their policies only needing to do it every 10 years. So I wrote to them and they gave me a process that they're going through where even the public advocate's office within CPUC is asking for the maps to be updated as well. So if you maybe could put some.
So I neglected to say it because there's a lot of info I need to remember, but it
Yeah.
actually is included in my notes as one of the things that they're talking
Okay.
about.
Fantastic, because it will help with needed resiliency and put those companies on notice that they have to have resiliency within the network for people.
So Nicholas has a meeting scheduled
Great.
with the CPUC
Oh,
to ask them to update the maps.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm helpful to send any more information I have for that you needed. I appreciate the resiliency of PG&E and the work they're doing, but I still don't think it's enough. I just want to look at, they're expected to make over $3 billion in net profit this year. We have no other competition here on the coast. It just isn't enough. And so, although I know you're leaning on them and I appreciate the work they're doing, it's still, too many hazards every time, so.
I understand. It's
Yeah.
incrementally getting better, but not fast enough.
Yeah, not fast enough, right? There's just too many people without services for days. It's just, and no telecommunications on top of it. So no energy and no telecommunications. The other thing I wanted to mention was that we did have, for the age-friendly healthcare, Rob Bartoli from the LAFCO, Executive Officer of LAFCO, we had him come out to talk a little bit about opportunities for the community to get some healthcare, a healthcare district. He shared a lot of information about what that would take, but our understanding again is that Seton is still offering their facilities for $1 of rent if there's a way to start helping with funding for resources. And so I don't know if there's any creative way that the community could help in subsidizing something like that, or just to give some thought to any creative ways, because those healthcare districts now through their property taxes subsidize like the peninsula.
So if people want, it's kind of back to the same question that we had with the stormwater district. If people want a healthcare district on the coast, we can get a healthcare district on the coast. They just have to agree to be taxed for it.
Yeah.
It's just what it basically comes down to. If people want a healthcare district, we can attach to people's property taxes and they can be taxed for it.
What,
Go ahead.
if I can,
Go ahead.
what the gentleman from LAFCO was saying was, it's hard to put new taxes on, that the new healthcare district would get a portion of the existing taxes. And so some other agency would have to give up some of their taxes,
Yeah, it's like something to that effect.
which sounded pretty unworkable.
I don't think, yeah, I mean. So there's different choices to be made. So, but yeah, I mean, to try to get an agency right now in this environment with the number of deficits that are running to give up taxes would be difficult. The people could decide they want to self-assess for it. And people want to do that. I'm happy to help get that process set up for them. I will tell you right now, I personally don't think very many taxes in the current environment are going to be successful for new ones. And everyone seems to be rushing to put new ones on. And so I think it'd be really hard in this environment. I think I think that Seton, so the Attorney General lawsuit, if they put in the settlement that we have asked for, is going to require them to have that emergency room operating. At the same time, for the amount of time, you know, I think it's gonna be like 2 years more, basically, because it's close. At the same time, they built, and they would acknowledge they built what looks like an urgent care center. So it could be possible if they want to utilize that center to bring in an urgent care provider. But I don't think there's any commitment made to do that. And
Yeah.
so, you know, we have a, you know, so for the underserved population on the coast, we have, now there is some discussion about whether or not, and I forgot to say this. There is some discussion right now that I'm starting to work on about whether or not Kaiser can bring mobile units to the coast. So Kaiser Hospital, because 70% of the coast side is Kaiser population. And they didn't participate, they didn't really like, I mean, I shouldn't say they didn't like, it was logistically difficult to work with them when we had the clinic down in Half Moon Bay. So the next logical thing to do is, instead of trying to force Kaiser into like their square peg into a circle, it's why not take advantage of their mobile operation and bring their mobile operations to the coast. And so we are starting to explore that with them. It's just very early stages.
Yeah, I was on that call, I think, which would be great, because that, you know, maybe take care of some labs, right? But it's still not urgent care, right?
It's
incremental.
Still not urgent care, it's
Yeah.
incremental, so we're just, it's piece by piece trying to get it, but
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
no problem.
Yes.
Two things, I just want to say first, thank you for coming in person, it's gonna be a lot, just to be good. Exactly, I'll do the glass half full version of County's, comment, just to say, you know, when the storm was coming, I could see all the EV trucks staged there, and that's meaningful, what you're doing is working, I just keep doing it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say that, so I've been through a number of storms on the coast. In this storm, they called me in advance, they told me how many units they would have there.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of it, so then when power went out, I called them, they called me back, and they were like, we're going to bring, I think it was they were gonna bring even more, like they just brought an army out to try to get it fixed as fast as possible. So, but still, 4 days isn't acceptable. But that being said, they are putting together the plan to make sure that doesn't happen, and every improvement that they said they had made on the coast helped, which is a good omen. The thing that I can't control, and I just wanna, like, for folks on the coast, there's 2 things coming right now in the future that we're all gonna need to prepare to be need to start to prepare of how we talk to the community about it. And one of them is that the new fire maps and the new fire codes are gonna require the, you know, basically fences are gonna change. If they're touching a house, they have to either be like an aluminum, I think it's like an aluminum, or they can't touch the house. Shrubbery around the house, I mean, there's gonna be a real change to how people in this area and in high fire zones are used to living. Under the new fire codes, and that is coming. And then the other thing is that the windstorms that we are seeing are gonna get worse. So we expect the windstorms, it's not gonna be like, every once in a while, we're gonna get pretty good, strong rainstorms. But we're gonna get windstorms without rain.
Yeah.
Like we had, so. That's just the future of all this.
I'm sorry, one thing I forgot was, that when you're talking about the storm and the department, like. Even in my neighborhood, like, even though the county supports those roads, there's lots that they don't cover, but ones that are, the swales are not maintained. I mean, the swales are just so overgrown, and I don't know what they can be doing, what we should do with that, but. There's multiple streets where it's either broken up and there's just growth coming through, tons of. So that would help as well. I don't know, I can send photos to the
Yeah,
department.
good, I mean, if they're Department of Public Works roads.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Well, thank you all very much for having me.
Thank you.
And I'll see you, if any of you are interested, tomorrow night is the State of the Coast Side.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be back out here, back out at night, for.
No cot down there?
Scott.
No cot in that building down there?
No, actually during this meeting, my wife was texting me, when are you coming? So, yeah, there's There's dinner waiting for me that I
Yeah.
haven't.
Where it is again.
I'll see you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Sorry, you can get your question.
Okay, well, it's 9:30. This is not gone, as it was supposed to, but that's okay. I think we got a lot out of it, and the supervisor's report. That brings us to the stakeholder meeting plans, and this is quick because I emailed the county contact and have received no response since our last meeting. Marisol said she would check into the contract process. There's no update. And the facilitator mentioned back in the fall that he will be unavailable from March 13th to April 4th. So this is not looking good. It seems we find ourselves at a standstill with this project and at another juncture where we need to consider whether to continue forward or rethink the timing and planning. And I'm guessing you want to rethink timing and planning. But I just wanted to throw that out there that this is a huge setback. And I'm not quite sure what to do about it at this point. I can badger people all day, but you know, there's a point at which you just can't keep going. on
It's-
that.
It's truly too bad that we didn't get an opportunity to mention this to either of the county people that were here.
Marisol's well aware, so.
Hi, everybody. It's Marisol. I'm still here. So
You're still
I'll,
here.
if you can ping me in the morning, I would appreciate it, Kimberly.
Okay, yes, that would be great.
What did she say?
Finger in the morning.
Yeah, I can do that. and Maybe we can get some traction on this. I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out so long, Marisol.
But there are 2 points that you're saying about timing. You know,
Yeah.
you have information now from Caltrans and really the lack of a plan.
The
And
soonest we'll get this is the next meeting, which still does not work well with our timeline.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, Caltrans, we've gotten their report, there really isn't any specificity to it, because that was one of the things, and now the Harbor District is also changing their plan, it sounds like, so. Not that, for me, it doesn't seem like the urgency is quite there as maybe we had thought in the past, because.
I think the urgency is still there because, well, just the parking issue per se is still an issue, right?
Yeah.
There's no resolution to that yet.
That's right.
But the fact that nobody knows what they're doing and they're all saying different things all the time is definitely still there.
So I heard a rumor that they're gonna move Highway 1 way inland there,
Well, that's one of the options proposed.
right through the Burnham project?
Well,
If
that's
you-
a proposal, there's a proposal for
So
it.
that's gonna be an agenda topic.
Yeah, won't that affect
right?
Everything?
that over there, all those pictures? So, and it sure seems like they need to work together still, so I think
Yeah, no,
what we're
it's
doing is important.
It is,
Yeah.
I agree, I think we all agree.
Okay.
So we saying we still want to pursue it? Is that what we're saying?
I
It
would.
seems like it.
I would definitely say pursue it, but I'm not so worried about the time, if it has to push out, you
That's
know.
fine.
There's nothing immediately happening right
Yeah,
now.
in my
Taking
opinion,
the
it's
temperature here.
never the case that this exercise is gonna affect the projects that are already
Yeah.
happening. So I don't think it matters, if this thing gets pushed another month, I think it's always been about some of these longer term.
Yeah.
plans, So.
Agreed.
try to stuff.
So we'll keep on, keeping on.
Yep.
All right, in that case, I'm gonna move on to the next topic, which is the MCC application process for appointment to the council. As announced earlier, there are currently 2 vacant seats that can be filled by appointment, and the vacancies were posted by the county on February 4th, and links to the application were posted on the MCC website on February 5th. So we've asked that applications be turned in by February 13th. That's this Friday. I don't know how many applications, if any, have already been received. That's something that maybe I can check with Marisol tomorrow about. But assuming we receive some, I thought, you know, we could do in-person interviews tentatively on February 25th. That's what it says in the announcement.
Okay.
And I would distribute all the applications received, you know, up until Friday to the council next week. There.
I have a concern about getting good quality candidates. I don't know what would happen if we get like one application or two applications and there really isn't a choice. Do we just go ahead and approve whoever applies, or do we not, or what do we do?
It's a good question.
Can I have a comment to that? I don't think it's any better. If you put yourself on the ballot and there's 7 positions available and you're 6 of 7, you win that spot. Nobody has to vote for you.
Just
So-
because you put yourself out there.
Just because you put, period. That's the way the election process goes. I don't know if that's appropriate for what we're doing for the appointed candidates, because it's just us and not on the ballot for the entire community, but that's just the way it works.
I mean, there is the option to wait until somebody or somebody's go, want to run for election, but I think
Yes.
people are more reluctant to do that. And we have to go a whole year with a council of 5 members, in which case that makes a quorum more tenuous
Yes.
as time goes. It also means the amount of work we might have to do is just really burdensome.
Could we say something like we need at least 3 candidates?
And we could.
Can we do whatever we want? I'm
Well,
not quite clear with the,
difference between now and the next meeting, we won't know that until the next meeting, so we either need to ask people to show up in person to the next meeting or hold them off to the first March meeting. Because in writing on the county website, it says February 25th in person.
But that wouldn't be the first time something got put off, would it?
But, okay, we can interview them, but we'll vote later. We can interview them because that's what it says is gonna happen.
Yes. we
Stick with the
could.
program
We could.
and say. And just say, we'll vote at a later date. If we have more candidates, we'll interview more. Is that
can you
possible?
take
How do
more?
we feel about that?
Can you take more candidates after you?
That's a question I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
If like Claire says, if it's less than 3.
Or if you
does that trigger
or you don't think they're strong enough candidates, what happens? Yeah, I don't, what's the rule?
that's awkward.
Kimberly and I have both talked to at least one person each and they've declined.
I did talk to, I did
You reached out to
reached
people.
out to the previous people who applied.
Oh.
Our alternate last time declined. 2 of the others though are still deciding.
Okay.
And I think they are good candidates. I think we thought they would be good candidates last time. It's just they decided to bow out because there were so many people in the room.
Okay.
So it's a toss up.
I wish we had some leeway to make a decision before we're actually just sitting here next 2 weeks from now.
Well, so
saying,
options, when I talk to Marisol tomorrow, we could just change that date on the website and say the first March meeting.
Let's see how many applicants came in, yeah. That makes
But we
sense.
won't be able to make a decision in between now and the next
Yeah.
meeting. is the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. You have to do it sooner or later, though, you can push it out, but eventually we have to do it, right?
Yeah,
What is the process for them giving you the applicants that have come in?
so on the deadline of the 13th, I guess they would, Gus, they did this, you were the person last time. that
What
they
happened the last time?
They just sent them
Yeah.
to you or?
All at one time, they don't trickle them through to you when they come in?
No, I think I got one report that had all the.
And it took a long time to get that, as I
Yes.
recall.
That's, yes, it's also true.
Oh,
So I can check tomorrow to see.
yeah.
I think the thing was like, wouldn't send anything until after the whole window had closed. Like, they wouldn't
That
do,
could be a problem then.
they wouldn't send them as it came in. It was like, we're waiting until the whole thing was.
So that would be Friday.
It would be Friday, yeah, which in practice would be probably Tuesday.
Yeah, Monday's a holiday.
Okay, oh, that's right. It's kind of sounding like we should ask them to change the in-person interview to the first meeting in March.
I'd sort of like to have them extend the application deadline too. It's very short time.
Well, I'm worried, like, if there's only 1 or 2 people that show up, And, I mean, are we not worried about that? Do we think we're gonna have
How
enough
how long
applicants?
of a, how long of a window did you have the last time?
Oh, we had tons.
No, I knew you had a lot of candidates, but how long was the window then?
Only a few weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks. or something.
But this has been like a week and a half.
Well, it'll be 2 weeks, but on February, it was posted.
By Friday,
It
it'll
was
be 2
posted
weeks.
before. And Friday, the 13th is deadline,
So it's 9 days. Including weekends?
so 2 weeks.
No, less than 2 weeks. After we asked for a month for them to do it.
Okay.
I mean, we are where we are right now,
Yeah.
so.
Do you wanna just push it out one more cycle then and?
Well, it sounds like we're split on that,
So,
so.
well, what is it we're pushing out? Like pushing out the window in which people can apply?
Yeah, that's what she suggested.
So
We give it another
extend the
week.
window for application, and then we would also be extending our meeting where we have the interviews to the March meeting.
Can we just could we just ask how many people are through, you know, understanding we may not be able to get all the information about who they are, can you just tell us how many people have applied? Because we have more than 2, and I don't think we should.
I can ask that, but the council then won't be able to make any decisions between now and then. Unless we call a special meeting.
So we can set up a parameter right
So
now
definitely-
to trigger it. If we
That's
Have
how,
at least 3 candidates do not extend.
Okay,
Yeah, so that we can vote on that now if that needs to happen. So like you set up the parameter, if there are more than 3 candidates or 3 or more,
Yeah.
then we will proceed as described on the website.
Yeah.
okay,
If it is less than 3, then we will move the date out to the next meeting.
okay.
And extend the application deadline.
Yes, all that stuff to the next meeting.
To basically extend everything 2 weeks.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, that's automatic.
That's fine, we can proceed that way.
So we need to vote on that? I think we do.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So I move that we use a decision tree of 3 or more candidates, we proceed with the process as already outlined. Fewer than 3 candidates, we extend the application window by 2 weeks and push the interview meeting to the first meeting of March.
I've had my hand up. I hope you don't vote before my comment.
Okay, Dan.
How about when we finish,
Say-
you can comment.
Well, you should come.
I'm just
Okay,
hoping that you allow me to comment before you vote.
Please do.
Okay.
We're asking, please go ahead.
Okay, so, separate of this whole, appointment process. I want everybody on the MCC to understand that the, elections department, Tower Road has, like increased the cost of, running for election. And yes, I know this is not the issue at hand, but it's looking forward. And I think the MCC needs to address this issue that when it is time for somebody to run for election, that what the county has done, the elections department has done, is made it extremely prohibitive for any community member to want to go through this process on the expense
I don't think
side.
that's true.
I know you said.
I know you said that before,
Not true.
but I'm telling you, it
If you want to
is.
have a statement, it costs money. You can apply for free. If you want to have a statement, I don't know what the cost is. It's $200, or if you want to have more space on the
You're
ballot.
based on your experience, but times have changed, Scott. They have raised.
Kind of irrelevant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all relevant.
This is not relevant. It's
Yes.
the issue we're voting on.
So
Well,
Dan,
no, it's an issue because we're talking about filling and keeping the MCC alive and well. Yes, it is a current issue, and it needs to be not voted on now, but it needs to be aware. The MCC the current council needs to be aware of this.
I
That's
take
all.
your point.
I'm going
I
there.
take your point. What I would like, it sounds like Scott is volunteering to research the issue and.
I'm gonna go tomorrow.
with an
Thank
answer.
you, Scott. Thank you. All right,
Okay.
good night. I mean, that's all.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we're voting on this thing that has just been proposed,
Yes.
been moved and seconded.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
yes,
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 Yes.
Yes.
okay. Motion
that's what we're
passed.
gonna do, okay.
Okay, two other things. The council tentatively scheduled our retreat for February 26th with the anticipated new members chosen. Not gonna happen.
We're not gonna have the retreat, or they're not gonna have new
Well,
people,
February
Said we wait.
26th is after, the day after the next meeting.
right?
Right.
You said we would wait.
Which,
If people have been brought on board at that meeting, don't you think they're gonna need more time to come to a retreat?
The next
mean,
day, it would be the next day.
It would be the
thing.
next day.
Unfair to,
no.
It might
I
be
guess
tough.
wouldn't have known that.
yeah.
Okay, so then when
We'll push it into-
down.
If we don't vote on new people next time, well, even if we did, well, they need to go through the Board of Supervisors even after we do our thing. But, do we want to have a retreat without the new people, or are we gonna wait to the new people get here?
Last meeting, we all agreed that we wanted the new people to be at the retreat. That's
Okay.
fair.
Okay, so that's good.
So given that, this would push this, I'm assuming, into March.
Yeah.
And I guess we need to think about what our availability is for March. So we don't have to do this now. We could wait until the next meeting and decide on a time, but I think it would be better to look at our calendars so they even get more tight.
It's just the calendar now.
See,
My
there-
calendars.
it's at least two more,
Impossible.
it's at least 2 more weeks beyond that then. That's what I'm saying.
We were proposed to do it on the Thursday. What if we pushed it to Thursday the 12th, March?
March 12th.
Yeah.
Well, wait, can I just, so you're
Okay.
saying we would elect them on the 25th and they have to go through Board of Supervisors 2 weeks before it goes through Board of Supervisors?
There's a toss up. So
I'm just thinking the 12th might be too soon again. That's why I'm saying it.
that might be another question for Marisol about the board schedule.
So
The supervisors meetings are. Let's see if I can bring that up.
yeah, I can bring it's on the calendar.
So board of supervisors meetings in March are. The 10th and 24th.
So they could get approved on the 10th,
The 12th could work if the board of supervisors could approve them on the 10th.
if they got their schedules synced with ours, which they would, yeah, they'll be approved by the Board of Supervisors.
So.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah, but
We just do that. We just, if we need to bump it again, we'll bump it again. And we just.
Okay,
I think
so
For the 12th.
lock it on your calendar.
What time?
We have 3 to 6.
yeah, I'm
Does
not
that still
available.
work for everybody?
Not for me. Could do
Okay,
in the morning, but.
morning is hard for me because of my employment. Can you do
March
late?
12th, Thursday, even Thursday, March 12th?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right now, I'm still
should we,
till 5.
can we
I'll-
do a
I'll try to
Saturday?
make-
then?
I'll try to find one. I'm most Saturdays this spring in LA.
Oh.
No,
Not even on site. There's not even here.
I'm not.
I see.
Nowhere near there.
Okay.
Almost any Saturday.
A Friday?
Friday.
There better be beer if I'm going on Friday. I say that out
Friday
loud.
the 13th, you mean? Like Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th, yeah.
Friday, that's it, March 13th, Friday the 13th. How about that?
I think I can do Friday.
I can do it.
3 to 6?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever, I don't really care, man, but just tell me when he's like.
Okay, so Friday, March 13th, 3 to 6, is that what we're saying?
Fine.
Or earlier in the afternoon?
That's less time in terms of hours than anything we've ever done.
3 hours.
Uh-huh.
So let's start at 2.
It is
Maybe that's
probably-
okay, but it is less time.
So the county people have to be able to come too, so.
Just do 2.
Yeah, the wild card is
Do 2.
unknown people have to deal with them.
Yep.
Let's do
Okay,
2 to 6.
Can everybody do 2 to 6 p.m.?
Sure.
Just block it for now.
Okay.
Close enough.
Friday, March 13th, 2 to 6 p.m. Block that on your calendars and pray.
See if that works, yeah. Okay,
Okay, one other thing, Michelle Dragony offered to help table at the post office to raise awareness and help recruit potential candidates. I don't have really a lot of time to do that, but would anybody like to do that and do that with her and, you know, over the next few days or the weekend or just.
Weekend's too late.
Yeah.
yeah, it has to be by when?
It would have to be tomorrow and it's gonna rain.
I appreciate Michelle offering to do that, and I would do it with her, but it's going to rain.
Maybe it won't rain.
It's a very valuable thing, and maybe we, you know, maybe
should
we
start
do
doing
that
it,
in
though.
anticipation of the elections coming up, and I mean, there's always gonna be a need for more council members, and some of us are.
No, I don't think so.
The,
I don't think next week is gonna rain like crazy.
so we really need to recruit, you know, because there are gonna be more vacancies, so maybe we plan that later in the year.
Yeah.
What did she say she would volunteer to do? I couldn't hear you.
Tabling at the post office.
For,
To recruit and raise awareness for
MCC.
MCC.
oh, how about tomorrow night at Ray's thing? Why don't you do that?
That's a good idea.
Okay.
She's
got- I know she's
my last
going.
slide is a recruitment slide on my PowerPoint.
Okay.
She's gonna be there.
All right.
Okay.
I already
Okay.
asked her. She is gonna be there.
I am.
All right, my last slide is a recruitment slide, so we're good to go.
Good to go then.
Okay, and then we can plan some other tabling events for later in the year. We haven't talked about that yet for this year, but I think.
I'm down for it.
Can I raise a caution?
What?
Sorry, Dan, what?
Can I raise a caution?
Quickly.
You know, recruiting at a you know, the
State of the Coast
Coast
Guard?
Chamber of Commerce meeting
Yeah,
fundamentally is kind of opposite of recruiting out to the community. So you're focusing on Chamber of Commerce versus the community. So I would
I'm doing it
caution.
anyway. I'm going to do it anyway, Dan.
okay.
Okay, well, there should
I
be
think
more.
the
It shouldn't
thinking
be
was that
should
there
be
will
out of balance.
community members in attendance,
For the
Dan.
community members. in
It
attendance.
should be not out of balance.
This is not agendized, just saying.
That's right.
Thanks. Oh,
Okay, we appreciate your concern, Dan.
The comment, my comment is relevant, whether it's agendized or not.
No, we appreciate the comment.
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna move past this item. Council activity, does anybody have anything to report?
Connie and I were at the
I'm the healthcare.
age-friendly healthcare initiative thing where we heard as she already mentioned, the head of LAFCO talk about what our options would be to raise any kind of institutional healthcare something here.
Healthcare district if it for funding.
Yeah,
that
it
we're
looked,
hoping to get.
everybody agreed that there's about a $500,000 per year shortfall to provide what the basic services are needed on the host side as opposed to what they could bring in by fee for service. And we don't know where that would come from.
But it's a staffing thing only, not anything else besides staffing.
Okay.
Big gap.
Is there any other council activity to report?
Oh, no.
Future stuff, I'm gonna do Firewise thing in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm doing the council thing tomorrow,
But
whatever that is. State of the Coast.
especially, I think it's really helpful just to make note that Scott is willing to do that, because
Yeah.
Ray said for they're coming to say your fence can't be wood attached to your house. I mean, I think it's really relevant to try to get more community members to look at stuff like
Yeah,
that.
just be aware.
I would like to add for future agendas, whatever we need to do to voice our opinion on the Moss Beach Corridor project.
So Shauna Singh, I talked with her this week. She is gonna come and give the presentation on March 25th.
I hope she can get the sound better.
Yeah. She's supposed to come on March 25th, although.
Okay.
She could come the meeting before that if we prefer that time. We just thought that there was so much going on that made more sense, but.
Well, if we just need to do it, I don't care when.
Okay, well, it's on the schedule.
And I really would like to be able to hear what she says, and I really can't hear her.
Okay,
We still have the housing element's the one, right? We're still gonna try to get,
I did speak with,
to see what's going on.
yeah, I did try to find out what's going on because we're in between, processes now.
Mm.
I'm not sure that. I mean, we could have Will come and do just a really quick update, but I'm not sure it's gonna be. It's still planned,
Yeah,
it's just the timing is an
Okay.
issue.
I just think people were saying there's been noise about it on next door. I didn't see it, but people are telling
For
me.
the rezoning,
Yeah, that people are getting
okay,
alarmed about it, so.
I should ask Ray about that, but.
I forgot, yeah, I tried to make my notes, I should have had, that'd be good.
okay.
People are also upset about Highway 1 going through the Brenham Strip, or at least wanting to know if that's really gonna
So
happen.
That is a future agenda.
Okay,
That's coming up. As is the county's land use emergency planning software and the sheriff's office update.
oh, you're way ahead of us.
I wanted a sponsor for that.
For which
Does
one?
anybody want to sponsor the Ladris planning software and the sheriff's update?
I don't know what that
Which
is,
means
the ledger.
contacting the sheriff's office and scheduling.
What's the ledger software? I don't remember. what
It's
it
the
is.
emergency evacuation planning software.
I can do it. I can do
We
it.
wanted Ray to come present about it and explain it.
I can do it. Oh, you can do
And
it?
also talk to us about.
If you already have
camera.
context, but.
And drones, maybe, for that matter.
Yeah, and to talk to us about license plate readers and.
All the sheriff stuff, all the
Yeah,
sheriff
all
stuff.
sheriff stuff.
Captain Rick hasn't stepped down yet, right?
Yes, he has.
He has stepped down,
Yeah.
right? So who knows?
We don't know.
I don't know who it is.
But there's somebody named Anthony, I can give you his email, who's the administrative guy.
Oh, I also correspond with.
Okay, you have Anthony's,
I was stuck over there. I can handle, I can.
You wanna do that?
I'll do it.
Okay, Gus, you're the sponsor.
Yeah.
Awesome. So maybe we could plan that for the next meeting or for our meeting after that.
Yeah, and
Okay, so yeah, actually, that's it. So what dates do you want me to target?
I can try to get the housing rezoning for the next meeting, and maybe you could target that for the 2 March meetings.
Okay, so.
Probably not the one that John Singh is gonna be on, so maybe March 11th.
Okay, I'll ask for March. Oh.
Okay,
I'm going to the meeting tomorrow on the the local hazard mitigation plan thing.
Good.
So hopefully they'll have materials for us to present, because they said they need community input and notification, so I'll let you know tomorrow, but hopefully that's something we can slate in the next, because I think it's a short turnaround for them to get public comment from it. I can't remember the dates right off the top of my head, but I'll send it over to you.
Sam Trans has also asked us to come and present on SB 63 local investment.
what is that?
What is that?
I'm not sure I'll explain it correctly. It's a plan whereby, what they want to get is input into what the local investment plan should cover. So I guess it's a pot of money
Oh, yeah.
for particular things, and
Yeah.
they like to know what the coast side things are.
Yeah. So I heard about that. Somebody asked me if I wanted to go.
So they want us to report to them.
Right, it would be similar to the transit authority thing that we did. Remember, we provided feedback on the transit authority's project, and this would be similar. So
Okay.
SB 63 local investment plan.
Well, that'd be good.
Oh, it's SBC, I thought it's SB 63, that's the transit tax that they want to
Yeah,
put on, okay, sorry, so this. What this is we're trying to sell this thing, we really want this thing to pass, so. Without, that. But now we.
yeah.
Is it on the
I
ballot?
think you think you're going to get.
Is it on the ballot in the fall or the spring?
In November, we are.
Can't even get ready to.
Oh, but if it fails, there's no point in asking them for anything, because it's not gonna be available.
Yes,
Okay.
this is the bill, which is primarily about. Making sure that our health plan do not have to make any changes to anything they do, which right now they cannot pay for themselves. This will primarily shovel money at rail.
At
That's what it is.
Samtrans,
It's coming from Centrans though.
Samtrans.
Samtrans, so some of the money will route through some local agencies, yes, but most of the money is gonna go to bailing out Barton, Caltrans.
Okay.
And Bart,
Yes, mostly Barton, Caltrans.
Are there any other future agenda items?
that seems like
A lot.
heavy stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, it does. It's 10 o'clock. Shall we adjourn?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You.
One.